Wake up, people are sleeping on these teams, but that gives them the best opportunity to attack. But which sleeper team is coming or is going to stay in the upper bracket and not drop to the lower bracket? Because nobody wants that, right? Demo?
No, you don't want that at all. No.
I don't think so. Thank you. Ollie, do you want to confirm?
I confirm.
Okay.
You don't want that?
I'm glad that we're all on the same page there. So a lot on the line for sure for this face-off. Why are you laughing at me?
She's kind of scared me today. Like, with
Why am
that
I
kind of like.
I'm trying to bring the energy, hype it up. Okay, fine, I'll tone it down. Okay, but getting serious, oNe is the top team out of Group C. They got the bye. They're playing the Wolves after defeating G2 in 2 this morning, Ollie?
Uncharacteristic, really, for the Wolves with the tournament that they have been having. A lot of their games have been going the full distance, well, they've not really seen that much success inside of the group stage, and I think a lot of people would have expected this to be a oNe G2 matchup. However, the Wolves, they prevailed, and they're going to be going up against oNe.
Yeah, so let's begin with oNe, and Demo, we said this at the beginning. They're the sleeper team here. They got here through the open qual. They have this amazing backstory. Honestly, they've been one of the most consistent teams here. We cannot take that away from them.
No, I think in terms of consistency, I think they've been consistently good, but they haven't been consistent in some aspects of their play style.
Okay.
So there is definitely room for improvement with this side, but I think they are probably there's always, at SI Ollie, there's always the one Brazilian team who we never expect. It was Furia for SI21.
Yep.
It was MIBR last year. We found the Brazilian side who I think is going to make a good deep run that nobody would have even, thought about twice that this team would actually be showing up at this tourney.
Absolutely. There's a lot of potential in this oNe roster as well. You look at the team and you think, stylistically, you could match them up very similar to Wolves. They've got a very similar play style. If you look at some of the players that you're going to be looking at going in on that entry, like Lobin, you look at some of the players that are going to be a bit further on inside of that backline. You're looking at something that's going to stylistically match up quite well against Wolves, and I think it's going to favour for the viewers, Demo. I know you hate this one, but for the viewers, I think it's going to be a good game of Siege.
Goddamn viewers.
Okay, well, Demo, you're just special, and you got to interview oNe, right?
Yeah, I got to interview my boy Lobin, yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to roll that interview, so take a listen, folks.
I think we surprised a lot of people. Outside of the Oxygen one, we got 3 maps, but the Astralis one and even the Oxygen one, we could close out like in the second map or even way early in the map. So people didn't really expect us to be in the top of the group. People said to us like, oh, I think you're gonna go through to the playoffs, but probably in the 3rd or 4th place. We surprised ourselves, like we thought we were gonna get like a 2nd or 3rd place, like we'll be happy with it. But 1st place was really a big surprise for us. I think G2 is probably the opponent we're going to be facing. I think they are in a better shape right now. We scream sometime against them, and I feel very comfortable against their game style. And just G2 ones are a little harsh to play against because they punish a lot, so it's a little annoying to play against. And of course, we have like maps that we don't play, and now we are playing. So it's like a surprise for some teams. So we'll be getting like, for each team, a little counter because playoffs is a different thing. The team that I'm more concerned about is probably Koi and Sonics. I think those two, they have like, not only the game style is very good, they are on the meta, but I think they have like 5 players that can read frag out, so that's always scary to play against. You have to be prepared for counters, in more and more counters, because it's gonna be coming a lot. So I warn you guys in the group stage, you'll see what happened, 1st place, so I don't think I have to say too much now, but I know like the powerful team that we are. And I'm gonna beat you again. Sorry.
Powerful team that we are. Okay, feeling confident. We love to see that. But let's pivot over to the Wolves now. Ollie, oh my goodness, what an amazing victory that they had this morning. So I'm wondering, can they take the emotions, the motivation, that enthusiasm, and transfer it into the series now?
I think after that G2 win this morning, they just wanted to pause time and restart time right now, because their energy and their emotion and everything that was going into it was absolutely perfect. I just hope that they've not come off the boil in the couple of hours that it's been between these 2 series. I don't think that will be the case. They had a fantastic series. We saw players stepping up that we haven't seen so far yet this tournament, but players that we know are capable. Think about P4, think about Bibu and the energy that he was bringing. He was shouting and screaming over Fabian's tack timeouts. Wolves look great this morning, and I hope they can bring it through this afternoon.
Yeah, everyone stepped up from Wolves, which is is what we question about Wolves. Is it just Mowgli? Is it just the one team? But no, everyone stepped up, everyone shown. However, I think Wolves, they were fueled by the kind of grudge match, you know, Hell in the Cell, the rivalry that G2 has. What's going to be the new motivation for them to really go in and beat Lost One? Because it did feel for Wolves, it wasn't just them playing a playoff game against G2, it was they just wanted to beat G2. It doesn't matter what it was for, they just wanted to beat them.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that we got to talk about here is when you have so much emotion in a series, you're exerting a ton of energy. It's hard to reset at times, Ollie. Am I wrong? How do you think they're going into this series now? They're like, let's cool off. This is what we need to target. I know you're not the coach. I know you don't really know the game plan, but what do you think that they would be doing right now to just kind of to cool off?
I think the best place they can do is just to start from scratch again. You know, just try and build and repeat this morning. I think that trying to carry over that energy, it could be quite exhausting. Obviously, they'll add a bit of time off. They've been able to get a bit of food, get themselves in the right frame of mind to just go and do it again.
Okay, and the map in info up on the screen right now. Demo, how do you feel about this?
Club, no surprise from Wolves, has always been one of their best maps that they can have. Very structured, know it inside and out. Villa pick, which is I think a very smart one from Lost One. It's a map that we haven't really seen all too often, but they have a history against French sides on Villa. Beat BDS on it earlier in the group stage this week. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good map as well for Lost One on Villa.
Yeah, Club, no surprise. Villa, as you say, 6-map win streak there for Lost One on that map, and then Oregon as a decider if we need to. Again, Oregon, it's one of those maps, 3-game win streak here for Lost One. Wolves, on the other hand, they lost it to Liquid inside of that group stage. The Club pick's quite interesting for me because it's quite low preference for both of these two teams. Lost One in their map vetoes have historically in the group stage, I think they've recognized they've got quite a small pool. So what they've been doing is, and the reason why they've played a lot of rounds, the reason why they've actually played the most rounds out of any team inside of the group stage is because a lot of their games have been 2-1. And the reason a lot of their games have been 2-1 is because they have been sacrificing some areas of the map veto to ensure that they get 2 maps that they are really comfortable on, but by doing so, they inevitably give up a map that their opponent is strong on. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that here in this veto as well.
Okay, well, our teams are ready to go. So without further ado, let's send it over to Dez and Ace. Hi.
Hi, Jackie. Hello, everyone. It's me and Tim. Ready for another good series today. We've had already a good first one to kick things off, and now we get to see how Lost One shape up against, admittedly, an unexpected opponent. I think many thought it'd be G2 here in this matchup. It was a real screamer between those two teams, and imagine if at the end of today, Wolves have already pushed themselves through to a semi-final.
Well, the thing to remember is as well, Wolves have struggled on LAN, and then we all said, will one win break the seal for them? Are we going to see them then delivering the performances that we know they're capable of? And that is the big question that we're starting to answer. They played well against G2. If they can double down on that and follow up with Lost One. I mean, let's remember as well, this match leads to the big stage. This is what they're playing for. You know, all of these matches that we're seeing now, the last 4 of today, the winners will be guaranteed, I believe, to be at Plasbel.
On Wednesday, we've got upper bracket games, so
there are upper bracket
They will
games.
be guaranteed because they're playing lower bracket in Plasbel.
Yes.
Don't worry, Tim. I got you.
Yeah,
I've saved you, mate.
That's what I said.
I've saved you.
I basically said the winners of this will go through.
Look, mate, I've saved you. Don't worry about it.
On the main stage.
I've got you.
You didn't save anything.
I did. I saved you.
You saved yourself by nearly disagreeing with me.
Anything to wind you up a little bit, Tim?
Either way, the winner will play at Plasbel.
Yes, they will.
There's a lot on the line. There's a lot on the line because not only that, you know, it sends you deeper into the tournament. It puts you into the upper bracket semi-final, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, which is huge for any of these teams. Lost One coming in. I mean, we've been fortunate enough, I would say, Des, to have cast 3 of their games so far, and we've had an absolute blast doing so. The one thing that I would say Lost One need to be careful of today, they are a very, very good team. They've been aggressively fantastic. The gun skill is up there. They will do the unexpected. The one thing that I want to see them improve is the ability to close maps out. They get to 6-3, they start struggling a little bit, they don't get it done as quickly as they should, they go to overtime a lot more than they might need to. So that's definitely something they can improve. They're going to have the bans coming in. We've got what is turning into an almost rare Thatcher ban, which I didn't think I'd be saying anytime soon, but we do have Thatcher go. It's quite a funky set of bans, really. We've got Thatcher coming in, Ying, Kaid, and Bandit, leaving Azame, Solus, Valkyrie, the trifecta on defense can all be played.
They can, and just to kind of hone in on this map for a second, Ollie spoke about it a little bit on the desk just before we came on, but it is a really interesting pick where it feels like Wolves have kind of tried to play into Lost One's weaknesses a little bit. What I think also really works well for Wolves here in this game is that it's coming up against a team that, for me, feels quite a lot like G2, being honest with you. You know, we've seen Lobin being basically Doki, really aggressive, getting up at windows and doorways, trying to be the disruptor in the first 60 seconds of the round. When he goes down, you come across the equivalent of Benjamaster. You come across Maya, who tends to play in the middle of the team. When you go even one layer back further than that, and sometimes you'll even see him involved towards the front line, you have Rise, who's been an absolute beast in some of their games this week. So those front three, in my mind at least, are quite similar to what you see from G2, with Dots and Dash then taking the roles of Virtue and Blur. There's been a couple of question marks around that pairing and exactly how strong they are. Probably in the same way, Blur has caught a few strays this week from people, not being 100% sure if he's the go-to support for this team forevermore, but at least starting to put on some numbers as well. So I think for Wolves, it's not a terrible matchup. It's obviously not playing against the same teams. You haven't got all the same mannerisms, but it will feel very, very similar. So personally, I think Wolves have got as good a shot as any at beating Lost One here.
Okay, we get into things. We're on Clubhouse, which I think is going to be an unbelievable map for these two to kick things off on. Rise is going to get spotted out in stock. The one to watch at the minute, actually, Des, is Lobin. He's hiding himself away. Rise is going to find a nice opener. I love to see that. Great use of the information. Thank you very much, medics. Sending us straight over to Lobin, who's hiding himself away in strip at the minute. So it's hopeful for EU fans that Wolves will be using those drones as effectively as Rise just did then, to make sure they're aware of Lobin over on that side. The yellow ping suggests they certainly are. He's going to have to get himself moving. He's going to take a lot of damage. This is good from Wolves so far.
It is, but he really wants to fight his way back here as well. There's two of them pushing in towards Chain, so they could have really stacked up there for a trade, but couldn't quite find it. Bibu coming in just behind. One of the things to really commend Wolves for in their game against G2. Here we go. Second one coming in. It's a pre-fire from Rise. All too easy onto Lobin, but again, just to commend them, I think against G2 earlier, they were excellent at isolating players on Chalet and pinching into, 3v1s, 4v1s, basically giving that player an absolute guarantee that they would be dead inside the next 20 seconds. And that's a lot more of the Wolves that we're used to seeing online. The confidence has really built up. The playstyle is very good against the way that Lost One play and equally good against G2. So I think you're going to see a lot of the same here.
Great information use so far, and I was just going to ask the question about whether Dash had managed to just slip his way onto the flank, but absolutely not. Wolves fully aware. Bibu cuts him down. Mowgli onto Maya and Dots. It's all down to him. 1 versus 5 becomes 1 versus 4, but it's a matter of time when that volume of utility comes flying at your face. He gets taken down, and that is a really good first round from Wolves, not just because of the outcome, but the manner in which they got there. The sheer volume of information that they had and how well they put it to use, really impressed. That is the Wolves that we're used to seeing, and if we get more of that on land, then oh boy, could this tournament open up.
It used to be a really silly comparison I'd make, but thinking about Wolves as a team name compared to how, say, for example, Wolves hunt out in nature, it's not a direct charge you try and smash your face in. It is this kind of stalking, waiting to spot the weak points and then picking off the weak potentially, and that's exactly what they've done in that round. They've just sat and waited for Lost One to try and work their way back down to site and cut off the main thoroughfare of this entire map, main stairs. They've had one come through from one come via Chains, who came in from strip side of things in Lobin. They've had 2 try and work their way down main stairs, and then just pick them off one after the other with 2 or 3 players all within striking distance of that area of the map. It was a really good read into Lost One. They've got to come up with something different here as well, with a second attempt going on inside of the basement. They have changed up their operators. Feels to me like you see a little bit more of a dug-in defense here, Tim, because although Lobin's on the Malusi, as a reminder, she is now a 1 speed, nowhere near as fast as she was back when she was a 3 speed.
Yeah, it's absolutely no surprise whatsoever to see Lost One going for a more sort of dug-in turtle approach to this defense, because let's be honest, Wolves have just absolutely decimated them on the road. So yeah, no surprise to see that shift. I think it's probably a smart move from Lost One. The question that you get now is, can they win really? As Rise Rise manages to get an opener on to Dash, and Wolves are going to have even more time than last time around to go and pick up these fights without those roamers on the top floor.
It does feel with the reads they've got that you can see exactly why Wolves would want to come here to Clubhouse. They're looking excellent so far. Really smart reads onto the members of Lost One, who in the first couple of rounds so far at least have felt really lost and unable to find an answer. They've only got one frag between every single member, and I know there's still the second round to play out, but it has been a really slow start so far for the LATAM side. Also not forgetting, they probably aren't as warmed up as what Wolves are, given Wolves have already played a game today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add a similar asterisk there, Des. You know, we see teams come in, the first 3 rounds aren't, you know, really the end of the world. It's give it a bit of time. You might just see Lost One settling into things and getting themselves going. But what they do need to be careful of is that they don't leave it too long until that happens, because otherwise Wolves are going to run away with this. And as I say, that Rise manages to find the headshot onto Lobin, leaving us now 5 versus 3. And Des, look at the clock. There's an absolute age of time left. There's more than half of the round. There's 8 drones left on the side of Wolves. I would strongly be suggesting at this point Lost One might benefit from a Solace, because the information that Wolves have had and the way they've used it has just been absolutely killer to them so far.
It has been, yeah. Maybe we'll see it brought in a future round. It is indeed available here, as are things like the Mirror, all the Heart Breaches are available. A lot of choice in this game, and I think to echo a comment that I think it was Lycan said earlier on, Club actually is really fun to watch at the minute, because as the bans come through, it transforms entirely how the map is played out. Keeps it very fresh and dynamic, so for an old map to have such variety based on what operators are available is really, really fun. Either way, we've seen Lost One being able to have no fun. They have been chewed up and spat out by Wolves so far. There is still so much work to do. I'll give them 3 or 4 rounds, then we really do need to see Lost One wake up and start playing Siege.
Maya is in behind the table. If Church is going to be supported by Rise out in Armory, who's just going to be trying to hold on to Blue for the time being. But there's a lot of pressure starting to mount from Wolves now. 30 seconds left to go. They still don't have a huge rush to be pushing themselves in here, but they can easily push players. You know, 3 of them at once, for example. Now then, Rise taking an awful lot of damage. Here comes the plant as the Capitao smoke is going to cover that off. Shinka will start putting the diffuser down on the ground, and Maya just losing the fight there. Ultimately, Rise little he can do, and that's another round for Wolves, and we quickly find ourselves with Wolves taking a reasonable advantage here, Des. And the thing for me is, the gunfights aren't close at the minute. This isn't just Wolves strategically beating Lost One. Like, look at that Maya fight onto bottom main stairs there. Like, it wasn't even really kind of close. There was no bullets landing, and Lost One, they're going to need to sharpen up quickly.
Yeah, if not on Niana as well, then I would have been saying, okay, look, they get scopes, all the rest of it, but as we know, she had that taken away, so it was very much an all things equal fight. I didn't really see what gun he had now, I think about it. The AR-X isn't been super popular this event. We've seen more of the G36, just because of the fact that, again, you think you have better scopes on it. Seems to be a little bit more popular for most teams. Either way, I'm with you. Lost One do need to find a way into this game. 2 rounds down, 2 kills on their entire team. Now, again, it's all good saying we can give them a little bit of breathing room if they lose this round here. I really think those 45 seconds for a timeout would be valuable, just to have a conversation and get things reset, because this could not really have gone any worse for the start to a game like this. One that's so important. As you said, the winner is guaranteed to be in Blastbell on Friday. The loser, well, they've got to battle through the lower bracket, and there are some scary teams that have fell into there, Tim. All of our second seed teams who got to choose their opponents have fell down into that lower bracket already.
It just hasn't really worked out at all, has it, so far? You know, we'll see how things progress, but, you know, it comes back to something I said at the... Oh, my dear word. Mowgli going to absolutely slay Lobin across the map, picks him up, and that is the response that Lost One get for trying to bring in some aggression here, for trying to, you know, power themselves into the round. And the thing is, that's going to start knocking the confidence to many of those, so it's going to be something that they need to manage. We've got Jacuzzi Wall open, good quick progress once again from Wolves, Logi Hatch as well, and they just look like a force at the minute, Des. They look like an absolute force.
Completely ignoring what's going on out towards Cash as well. P4 once again is looking to strike here. Zero idea that it'll be here as well. The Soul is the one running around through the basement. I thought for a second that we would see Dash coming up main stairs, but it's not to be the play. Maybe he will once the execute begins, but for now, P4's the one who can charge his way up and strike. In he goes, rounding in towards Secret, finds his man for free. Down goes one, instantly traded out by the other side, but Wolves have attempted to collapse here and have got control of the site.
3 versus 3 then, they know where a man is, managed to get one, and yet again it's a trade. It's been like that all the way through the game. 1 for 1 for 1. Shinka goes in looking for the man they know is inside of construction, but Dash is actually going to take the drop. There's an opportunity to get the diffuser down here. I think they're going to go for it. Dots could well move through the rotation, but it doesn't look like the Solis has picked up that the plant is going down, and that is a big loss for Lost One. They really should have been finding that underneath. Doesn't have time really to be trying to locate that activated diffuser, and it's all up to them to fight back.
And again, they conceded control of sight so soon. Option to play behind the Solis, but if you can't make the play with the Solis, then what's the point? Dots moving in through sight here, sees one man, knows inside of Lodging, almost gets Shinka, but Bibu finds Dash on the cross. It's a 1 versus 2 for Dots to try and save this round for his team. He's found himself 3 kills so far, but he's got to go the full mile here and bring down the last 2. It feels like a tall order. Chasing one down, won't find his man as he goes down to 5 HP. It's a closeout for the Wolves, and they're up 3-0 in the first quarter.
Great start for the European side, absolutely flying at the minute and just continuing that energy that they showed in the G2 game. Obviously the G2 game was very close. It was 2 overtimes that it took for Wolves to get it done, but you just felt as a team that they were riding on confidence. They were starting to... This is the first time, Des, realistically, that we've seen them enjoy playing on LAN and they look dangerous.
Não fica correndo no início de round. A gente vai jogar embaixo, na W7. Porque a W7 não tem como eles punirem entrada rápida se eles não entrarem em algum cruzado nosso. Tá? Joga nelas, vocês vão depois, volta pra CAD e joga na tua daquela play daquele moleque postal lá. Vocês falam, hã? É, então, ela. Por quê? Mesma coisa, se ele quiser entrar pra pegar a primeira punida, eles vão ter que jogar em cima de cruzado também. Então a gente vai dar preferência para os dois. Hã? Não muda nada dela pra essa. Não, é outro ataque, esquece, só pega ela. Não, Renato, joga de azul de CAD. Só fica parado no slot.
Pô, não sei, será que pegar a Medusa, guys?
My Portuguese is terrible, thank you, medics, for asking. That one for me was more conversational. It's really interesting analysing the coach timeouts more so than it is the game at points. We don't, but trying to kind of gauge it. But it shows you a lot about body language as well, right? And, you know, the tone of voice they're using. A lot more conversational, a lot more kind of, you know, it's not disaster ground yet, but let's have a chat, figure out a couple of things here. Here's something I've seen that's going wrong. At least that's the expression I got from the body language and the hand movements. So nothing kind of, again, as panic stations, more to say, right, breathe for 45 seconds, like we suggested they might do. Let's get it back on track. Now we'll see if they can do anything in these next 3 rounds. For Wolves, they'll already be delighted with 3 rounds on the attack.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is, you know, it's Wolves' map pick. It's not a great map for Lost One, and if they come away losing it, I don't think it's going to be the end of their world. They're going to be looking, you know, much more towards the latter half of this game, and they've shown an ability to scrap so far. They've had to, you know, with many of their maps going into overtime. So I'm sure Lost One aren't going to be scared by this. You know, they're going to be, you know, ready to knuckle down and fight the fight. But the problem that they get is that this map could easily be over before they realise it. You know, we could be on for a 5-1, 6-0 half here because Wolves are in a position where they're likely going to be repeating sites now that they've already dominated on the attack, and it's up to Lost One really to find the answers.
It is, and that's why ultimately that timeout should help them find them. At least you're hoping so, otherwise this could be a very painful remainder to Clubhouse.
Much different setup from Lost One here, 3 on the top floor, whereas previously we didn't see such an investment for Church and Arsenal on those top floor roamers. So we've got 1 inside construction, 1 on Garage Catwalk and 1 over at Red Stairs. That's going to take a lot more manpower for Wolves to clear out, but it's a big gamble, Des, because if Wolves do come in here and get this top floor control with a couple of kills along the way, those Lost One players better be hoping they take some with them.
Damn straight they should be. As of course, why don't they actually get challenged up here? And the answer, up until this point, was not really no. Only now are we starting to see the challenge coming through as Moby's got himself inside of construction. understands there is one playing top red and he has the right idea. There are, in fact, a couple hanging around here, so he's got to be careful what he tries to challenge for. And Logan's going to walk straight into it. 0-4 in this game. Whilst he's had some real reigns of terror coming through across the week, here yet to make an impact. Dash finds one, instantly traded out, but Wolves still walk away with the man advantage.
Half a round and 2 deaths I just don't think is enough for a 3-player roam up on top floor. It was a good effort from Lost One. They managed to pick up Mowgli along the way. You know, maybe take a couple of nades out of play as well, which is always going to be helpful. But ultimately, I think Wolves will be pretty happy with that. They've got the hard breach that they need. They've got plenty of it, to be fair. They've tripled down on it. They've got Ibana, Thermite and Ace. The Ace, I think, from Rise likely being brought along. Not so much for the gadget, just a good gun, good utility. And a lot of people really liking that operator at the minute. And the fact that he can hard breach for himself is a little bonus on top of that. But yeah, I feel like Wolves still in a very commanding position. And the top floor, you know, the weight up there, maybe not paying dividends for Lost One. We'll see in the next 40 seconds.
Absolutely. A lot of flashes on side as well that they can just yeet in towards site here and catch out and basically full white screen 2 or 3 players on the side of Lost One. They've been in no big rush, but at least here with the number of impacts left on both Rise and Maya, they might be able to deny this hatch away, actually. 2 exothermics plus the X-Kairos in back pocket are there, but the time simply is not. They need to make a push coming in down main stairs here, trying to look in towards Trophy, but there's a Capcan on the door. What a surprise, Tim.
Too easy, and a little bit of a surprise from Wolves. Their information has been fantastic so far, but down to 4 drones, you can see it's starting to hurt them. Immediate trade from Rise onto Rise. Maya manages to find Bibu, and it is advantage Lost One. Somehow, even with that start, they've managed to hold on. Shinka is trying to get a diffuser down. It's not going to happen as Rise comes around the corner, gets that final kill, and Lost One, despite a shaky start with the 3-man roam, will still be able to take the round, and that is a big grab for them. And I'm also surprised before starting this, we didn't realise that we had Rise versus Rise.
I know, yes, a good point. That one, I can't criticise them heavily because they've had a brilliant first 3 rounds, but for Wolves there, 60 seconds, not a whole ton got done. They were so concerned about being flanked, for example, and making sure they'd set everything up. They were getting hatches opened. 1 minute 30 became 30 seconds remaining, and they realised we haven't got time to open these hatches and play this impact tricking game. We've got to get down on site. So although Lost One did lose 2 members, it clearly did the right thing here in forcing Wolves to play it nice and slow and steady for the next 60 seconds, and maybe a little bit of oversight on the Wolves side to realise we haven't got time to make this happen. So well played by Lost One to dig back, less so by Wolves there for drawing things out a bit too long, but again, won't be too rattled by that. They are up 3-1 after all.
No, not at all. You know, by contrast, I think if Lost One can get themselves 2 defensive rounds given the start, they'll be fairly happy with that. But I don't think it sets them up fantastically well. I think 4-2 on the half is going to be a little bit too easy for Wolves to be able to close that out when they get on the defense. But who knows? The turn of time can be a funny thing, especially when you go from attack to defense. Wolves then going to be attacking again this time. Looks like it's going to be onto bar and stage.
All right. I don't hate the idea of this. It's another one of those sites that I'll kind of always come back to things like Cafe Reading and Fireplace. Great example for it, where teams have to take almost the entirety of the top floor and then worry about the actual site itself, which I think is why you're going to see several members from Lost One here looking to roam out towards the east, in the expectation we'll have a starting attack out towards Cash CC, out towards Garage, to then work their way across. What Wolves maybe aren't fully aware of, actually, is that Wolves are saying, yeah, forget about that. We're going Route 101. We're going straight in towards Bedroom here. You guys want to stay out towards the east? We have no problem with that. But they've already got control here of Gym and Bedroom. I don't think Lost One realise how much they've actually given away here.
No, absolutely not. There was only 2 players from Lost One. Maya and Dash were the only 2 that were trying to hold on to top floor, and that's a little bit lighter than you might expect normally. They've been forced back. Dash has taken damage, and Wolves have already got control over Bedroom. They've got control over construction.
They've got to get Strip, and they've got to get rid of Dots. If they get rid of those 2 players, the west side of the map is completely free. And knowing how good Wolves have been at cutting down these rotating players, they should be fine. They just need to have the read that they've only got 2 players waiting underneath them, and they can just hit sight here and say, forget about the rest of you. You can't stop any of this.
I can only imagine that Lost One in the minds are playing for a little bit of a retake here, sort of almost inviting Wolves in with the plan of striking across top floor when that happens. Mowgli, he's going to take down Lobin. That's stripped for free, and they can now go in and start thinking about getting a diffuser down. So Lost One are going to have to make a move, and they are doing that. As I suggested, Dash and Maya are starting to work their way back across through construction, and they're going to try and cut down those people that are holding the vertical angles. But I think that they're prepared. P4's watching the door.
And they get the cams as well because of Lobin going down. It could not be going much better.
Oh, that's a big win.
Finds P4 rising to the next, so they've caught them on the cut across here, Tim, and this is what I was worried about. They lost so much important control, and Rise drops the donk on him. Down goes Maya, full control to the Wolves once again, and they have just caught Lost One asleep in this round.
I think this is a plan. Basically,
Brilliant.
Lost One had a plan, and it's just gone wildly wrong. Is the top and bottom of it. Bibu's quite involved.
Quite excited.
Love to see it. So what's happened is Lost One, as I thought, Maya and Dash have given up that ground. They've invited Wolves in, and I think they've almost wanted to sort of bait them into a plant. I think they've thought when they're in a position to plant, their eye's going to come off the ball a little bit, and that's when Maya and Dash push back across top floor. They move through construction. Now, Maya gets a great first kill onto P4. If Dash can find the kill onto Rise inside logistics, Wolves' attack falls apart. So the plan would work if you get those gunfights. They just couldn't get them done. Rise cut both of them down, and that was a big problem for them. Round was over at that point because there was just nothing really that Lost One could do. It was a big gamble on Maya and Dash being able to, give that ground up and then come back and take it later. I think really the fight to have is keeping hold of it in the first place.
Honestly, I think they got caught completely blindsided. They thought there was going to be a push coming in from the east side, which is why they had 3 players out there. And although they battled back in, Wolves said we don't need to hold gym and bedroom because no one's actually here. All we've got to do is stick one inside Logi, maybe one on main stairs, contest bedroom, let them know we're here, because then they can't use the vertical against us. But again, Lost One for me have been caught completely blindsided. Wolves played that really, really well. They went more direct than expected, and it surprised Lost One. If you think that's bad, what about when you bring along a Monty to spearhead your attacks forward? Rise dropping the gun for a while. He's 8-2. Screamer of a map, but dropping away from the gun so far onto the Monty, showing that he's a team player and not all about himself and his KD.
Yeah, this is great from Wolves. Love to see it. They've got the Azami have Lost One, so that's going to help them hold on to Catwalk. But the perfect tool, the perfect tin opener for that tin is Montagna. Force him up the Catwalk stairs and just bully that player out of position. Now then, we're going to have a coming together here. We've got Mowgli moving through. It's Lobin on the Solus that is going to be making the challenge here, but I get the feeling that Wolves are already aware of his position, and that's why Mowgli's going in. Shots are missed though, and he's going to be seriously low health with Lobin taking very little damage. Mowgli decides it's time to get himself out of there.
Backs away for now. It's Bibu going down. It looks good for Lost One, actually. The damage they've done onto Mowgli with the Monty being not so much unsupported, but a little bit alone at the moment, taking a bit of damage from an impact nade as it comes out as well from the Wamai of Maya that was up in the rafters. It is going to slow things down a bit, and Wolves, I feel, almost have tried to bite off maybe more than they can chew in this round.
It certainly is starting to look that way. Nade gets sent up onto CC window, not going to have any joy, nobody around that area. The double hold of Garage Catwalk is dealing nicely with the Monty at the minute. It's just forcing Rise to hold on. He needs some support to come in with him, but the Azami by the window is making that very, very difficult for anybody to push in. It's not a direct challenge that they can make, and I feel like Wolves are just stalling out a little bit here.
Well, there we go. We've got the pinch support from the Monty. If the call is there, there's a second player on Catwalk as well. This will make it so much easier for Wolves because they can basically isolate 2 players. B4 has walked in. I don't think they're 100% aware here, but if they get the supporting angle on, there we go. He had to win that gunfight, but could not get it. Mowgli finds one. Lobin straight into a trade. It does feel like Lost One have got the better of the Wolves here in the final round of their defenses. Maya hits the deck. Wolves march on.
45 seconds left to go and an opportunity to push into sight, but they're just going to move underneath. Don't forget, Lobin on the Solus can deny any plant attempt from below. We find ourselves 2 versus 2. Dots down Rise, and it is now all up to Shinker. He really is best off going for kills. 30 seconds left to go. Not likely to have an opportunity to put the diffuser down unless he can get up on top of one of those tables. Like you say, he has to find the kill. Cannot do it as Dots hits his shots, and that is going to take us through to a 2-4 half.
close. I thought Shinka might be able to do something there as well if he won out the 1 versus 1, but as you say, well won by Dots. One of the backline players we don't really get to talk about all that often, putting up some good numbers there. So, for Lost One, they get 2 rounds back. It could be far worse. There is still a long way to climb. I think they've looked really, really strong on the defensive side of things generally this week, Lost One. Attacks here against a team that have picked into a map that they know you're quite weak on. This is where you can see more of the cracks start to show in the armor. For now, though, let's see how Wolves set up on the downstairs, as that's where things will kick off, and they've gone straight onto the Solus with Rise.
Bulletproof Cam is going to be facing out towards blue, so that's going to be a lot of information getting fed back in. It might give them the opportunity not to dedicate a man to that position. They'll have somebody on hand ready to go and challenge, but they may well leave it somewhat unattended and look to maybe give a little bit more support out to the roam, for example. They can use that Bulletproof Cam just to keep an eye on any early round activity in blue until they have the manpower back on site. So much like Lost One, I'm interested to see how much manpower Wolves actually dedicate to the top floor. At the minute, they've got Rise and Mowgli up there. There's not going to be any further support for them, I don't think. So it's going to be a 2-man hold of top floor, and again, we'll see just how much they commit to it. Lost One, they were pretty strong in their committal. They were willing to lose 2 out of 3 members up there just in order to burn as much time as they could. So let's see if Wolves will double down quite as much.
I think the Jackal can help out here as well. If that's, of course, we see too many roamers coming in for the side of Wolves. And equally how fast Lost One push their way in throughout this top floor. Mowgli's the one looking to, unsurprisingly, welcome them into the building of Clubhouse. Starting out on the east here, does mean a full map clear is going to be on the cards for the side of Lost One throughout the entirety of this top floor, which means you're going to have to face off against the Azami of Mowgli, who's going to try and burn through as much time as he can with those keeper barriers, almost getting shot in behind there as he backs it towards bedroom, but he's ready for a second asking here, Tim. Is he out the window? Yes, he is. Sees the second man, but couldn't go for him as well. Was back inside. There was no rapid response. Sees a man and gets second. Mowgli deleted and looking for his third as well. Will he find them? Or will Rise chip in here? Gets Lobe in as well. This is a dream start for Wolves on their defensive side.
This really is a textbook perfect example of how to hold the top floor on a Church and Arsenal defence. Absolutely fantastic.
I'll tell you
out of Rise and Mowgli.
Step 1 for defending top floor, be Mowgli. 3 massive gunfights being won out there. We can't all emulate him, Tim, but we can do our best.
Absolutely perfect. Well played, Wolves, and what a start to their defensive half. We're talking as if Lost One have already lost this round, but it certainly does look like it's heading in that direction, because look at the freedom that Wolves are playing with now. You've got Rise just running around. I think Rise even takes a second there just to let that one sink in for himself.
I mean, you don't need Lady Luck on your side, but if she's offering, you take it. It's a flawless round. A 4K for Mowgli. The filthiest spray I've ever seen from Rise. This is ludicrous, Tim. Absolutely ludicrous.
I think Rise's little demonstration at the end of the round there shows just how much he maybe didn't expect to be finding a kill with that spray. Sometimes you just got to take the shots. Ammunition isn't always the biggest commodity in this game. You've usually got plenty of it to go around, and sometimes if you know somebody's on the other side of the wall, 10 bullets, it ain't going to matter too much. Just spray across and see what you find. And it's worked out for Wolves, and you just feel at the minute, Des, that they could, shoot a bullet straight up in the air and it'd come down and get a kill onto Lost One. And they need to take advantage of that whilst the game is going in their way as it is.
Woo. Like I say, Lady Luck did not need to be on their side, but if she's offering, you ain't going to say no. All right, 5-2. A lot for Lost One to do, again on a map that really isn't their own. Villa, I think, is much more theirs. As we said, it's their favourite map pick. They've had the most success on it. I think they're on like a 5-map win streak on Villa at the moment, so that's what they'll be turning their eyes to. Not saying they've fully given up on trying to get something done here on Clubhouse, but they've had the tactical timeout. The boys have got to figure this out between them, and it just feels like it's a little too late when Wolves are on fire to this standard.
Well, the problem is as well, you're playing into Wolves' defence now, so you really would expect them to be able to push forward and lock this down. This is their their defense on their map. These are their setups. You know, this is, you know, the top level of their game, as you would expect it. So, yeah, it certainly looks like Lost One are up against a major challenge. I will say, through the group stages, I believe that Lost One have shown us that they are up to a big challenge. I think that their resilience has been good. They've been pushed to overtime a few times when it's looked like they might have an easier win, but they've still managed to get the job done. They're not a team to bend and buckle.
They absolutely are not. Well, there's got to be some fight coming out of somewhere, and right now the question is, where is it coming from on the side of Lost One? Lobin, usually the superstar, alongside Maya, the two that really popped off in their qualifier win against Furia to make it here to SI in the first place. Both barely anywhere to be seen. 3-12 between them. Arguably, I think, the worst performance I've seen the two of them have.
At the minute, Lost One just looking at windows, being cautious, not wanting to rush their way in. Look what happened last time around. It's not too much of a surprise that they're not wanting to just throw themselves in here. But I like what Wolves are doing. You know, they're getting spotted out. They know where they are, but Wolves are just playing very patiently. They're not really giving much of an opportunity away. We're halfway through the round, and that's the first gunfight we've had, and it's hardly, you know, a head-to-head gunfight.
That's exactly it, right? It feels like stalemate. Like, no one really had to move their feet, but Lost One couldn't find players without having to risk themselves by stepping inside the building that they just weren't really prepared to do. Dots, top fragger for his team, is out of the round as well, taken down. Mowgli up to 13-4. I thought we'd be singing Rise's praises after this map, but Mowgli just said, nope, remember, I'm the star of this show.
I mean, we can give Rise a bit of attention as well at 10-3, I think.
I mean, he's one of our own. He's like 30 years old.
He's certainly, you know, welcome in the conversation at this point.
Yeah.
Mowgli getting a big entry there to kick things off. And that's,
snap!
That's another interesting point. Rise manages...
No! How? This is unreal!
I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Rise manages
That's
to kill
illegal.
Rise. It was the Lost One Rise taking out the Wolves Rise, but he'd already done the damage. People a double, and that look says it all. Rise does not know what's going on or how he's getting these kills, but whilst it lasts, you just enjoy it. And the point I was making partway through there, Des, is another important element here. Entry kills. There is only one gone to the side of Lost One so far. That was round 6. Otherwise, every entry has gone over to Wolves. And guess who has got 5 out of 7 of them?
Who? Mowgli?
Mowgli.
Of course. Of course.
5 out of 7 kills on the entry for Wolves. And guess who's got the other 2? Rise.
Obviously.
They are just absolutely unreal at the minute. 25 kills between the two of them, Des, in 8 rounds. That's a possible 40 kills for the team, and they've got 25 of them.
It's just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And don't forget, some rounds they didn't even fully complete either. A couple of the members, they've got, what, 11 kills? They've got 25?
It's honestly... It's
Rise can't do it. He can't keep getting away with
this. I'm not
this.
saying it's the best individual map performance that we've seen through SI, because we've seen lots of good performances.
We've seen 7-0s.
It is certainly in the conversation. This duo performance between Rise and Mowgli is certainly in the conversation. We have not often seen domination like this by 2 players on a map.
Rise is doing it for the boomers out there. Shout out to him. I suddenly feel like I can go on and become a pro.
Yep, showing that we can still shoot straight.
We can't.
I know better.
We both know better than that, Tim. We both know better. Our ranked sessions have proven enough. Still, it does look like this one is done and dusted at 6-2 for Wolves. Just one more round. We'll see them going through with a dominant Clubhouse performance. And no doubt the question will then come too, does that momentum carry all the way through to Villa, or is it left here in these halls for Lost One to bounce back and take us through to Oregon? Either way, it's shaping up to be a really impressive series. And what I'm loving the most, Tim, is we've seen so many what we've called team fixtures, where there's been a real good spread of kills across all players on a team. It's been a real battle between the two, but here you're seeing a real show of class from a team that, again, historically on LAN, we just don't see this from often. You guys are seeing now what we're used to seeing in the European League when these guys are really on their day.
Yeah, this is week in, week out, and this is the team that we've hoped would show up at a LAN one day, you know, to show their ability. Now, Lost One have made good progress into Strip. The problem that they've got at the minute is that they haven't affected top floor. So they can try Stage, they can try Strip. It doesn't really matter either way at the minute because Wolves have still got four players up on the top floor. They've got control of Master, Gym and Construction. So it is very unlikely at the minute that Lost One are able to get a plant down without a few kills on top floor. They've got everywhere covered.
Interestingly, they have the 8 impacts on side and no C4s, and I thought with the amount of information they've got, the Valkyrie, the Yokais, the Solus coming out, they'd look to play behind C4s, maybe being a little bit cheeky through basement hatches, for example, but for now, it is largely ignored. Still dancing around upstairs, the smokes are coming out, and the plant is going in. I imagine Bibu has at least an answer to this, because his goal obviously is to get straight back onto the cams and try and blast it out, but they're not going to stop it in time. Plant completed, retake begins.
That's not good from Wolves. They had full control of top floor, including construction. They had the hatch. They cannot allow that plant to go down. Fantastic play from Lost One to get it done. They also start finding the kills. 5 versus 2 now. Wolves are fighting back, but it's unlikely that they're going to be winning it on this round. Rise manages to take down Bibu. Rise the difference. Wolves Rise manages to fight back, finds one onto Lobin. 4 versus 2 it is now, but with only about 6 seconds to have time to take down that diffuser, it's no longer possible. They are not disabling it. That's going to be the round closed out, and for me, that is a misstep from Wolves. They had 4 men on top floor and an Echo Des, and the plant was still allowed to go down. They had control of the hatch. You can't plant on Stage or double door with the hatch open.
They weren't complaining all that much, I don't think. That was their offsite, let's not forget.
It's fine, but
that was their offsite. Now we go back down to the basement where they were incredibly dominant the first time round.
Yeah, and I think Wolves get this done? Yeah, I think Wolves get this done. I think they probably get it done now. But yeah, you know, the little bit of frustration is there because to me that wasn't a hard-fought round. That was a mistake. You've got 5 players left alive. 4 of them are on top floor. They've got all the angles. You've got the Yokais. You can't allow a plant to go down. You just can't. And Wolves have got to learn from that. But, as you said, going down to Church and Arsenal for round 10. Likely to see a bit of a different situation here. Back onto one of their primary sites. Now, I'm interested, actually, Des, to see Lost One actually attack site. And I'm not I'm not trying to take a jab by saying that, but they just didn't get anywhere near last time. I want to see what they can do. I want to see them, how do they execute onto this site? Because they just got decimated by Mowgli on the top floor. He picked up a 3K. Rise got one as well. And Lost One just didn't get anywhere near. So we'll see if they can do a little bit better this time. I'm just looking at the layout from Wolves and whether they've committed to the top floor quite as much. It doesn't look like they have. There's still 3 downstairs. P4 and Mowgli have dropped back as well. I think it's largely going to be a bit of a turtle defence here.
Looks to be, which always makes me a smidge nervous, because looking at the lineup from Lost One, you pick off, for example, the Hibana. This team is then completely screwed. Sure, they've got 2 hard breach charges left in back pocket, but you've got 4 impacts to rotate through. You can clear off those hard breach charges, and there is no way any of those hatches are getting opened up as a result. So I'm looking at this and just thinking there's maybe a missed opportunity here for Wolves. Not that they know that there would be such a limited amount of hard breach coming in. I'm pretty sure in a game earlier on today, we had 3 hard breaches coming through on this map. In fact, I think it was even the one just before we came and started casting, Tim.
I think Wolves have done it on one of their attacks.
Where they have literally everything.
Wolves did it on one of the attacks. They had Hibana, Ace, and Thermite.
Yeah, here it's a little bit light on the ground, which I won't complain about too much unless it really starts to sting them. I can't imagine that it will.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, but I agree with what you're saying. When you're in that situation, it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity. If they get out there, a couple of players on their own and pick up a kill onto Hibana, then the round should largely be done at that point, but they're not going to have that opportunity. Instead, opting to turtle up and try to hold on. Now then, Lost One have certainly been cautious in their clearance here. With nobody to fight against, they've still taken a minute and a half to be confident of their control over the top 2 floors and to start opening hatches up. We've also got Lobin, who's taken a big chunk of damage there. I don't know if that was maybe from a nitro. Rise's nitro has been used, so I think Lobin taking a lot of damage from that, and that leaves us still 5v5, 1 minute 20 left to go. Wolves are just waiting for the coming onslaught.
Aren't they just? And you got Dash, who's just sat outside, tunnel up towards the top side too. Down he'll try and work through solo down through dirt because he's got Shinka to fare off against down there, and that's just going to see you wasting time trying to push in through all of those smokes. I think that's the ideal. You can see that he's expecting it. Not yet coming through, but all of Lost One are going to no doubt have their push coming in, mainly through the hatch, and so on and so forth. Okay, he does want to push it. This is interesting.
It's certainly going to be. Now then, Chinka, he's holding on to Dirt Tunnel for the time being. Smoke canister goes out just to slow things down. He's going to be playing the tight angles, the CQC with the shotgun, and they certainly are looking to pressure kitchen hatch as well. The drop is going to have to come through at some point, but a Vulcan canister gets well timed, opened up below, stopping the push into blue as well. This is going to be down to the last 15, maybe 10 seconds, Des.
Yeah, more smoke's being burnt as well inside of Dirt, which is good. There's Dash finding one to P4. So actually, he's pulled the EE1D, but rotated off as well to go for help elsewhere. Dotson trying to look to go for a plant. It's not yet coming through. They've got some of the vertical cover, but Mowgli's starting to break it open. Gets 2 kills, kills the cover, kills the man upstairs as well. I think, no, it's Rise. Dash bringing one down in response, but it feels too little, too late. 2v2 coming into the last few seconds. Dash is all that's left standing between Wolves and a round win here, and a game win, and it's going to be certified. Wolves with a very dominant round 1.
As soon as they put the diffuser down in sight, got that kill onto Dot, she just felt that was it was over. Lobin was obviously very concerned with the cover onto Dirt Tunnel, and rightly so, because that's where some of the danger could have come from, but it just left that gap. Maybe they needed a second man in kitchen to help cover over towards Church and give Dots what he needed. When you plant in that position, as we saw with the final kill that came in, the pistol kill, you are exposed to a number of angles. With the cover that they had, one man on kitchen hatch, he might have been better planting behind boxes. As it is, it's all said and done. Wolves, they deserve the credit. They've played that fantastically. It's been nice to see, because as you say, that's the kind of performance we're used to seeing from them.
15-6, 14-6 as well. Incredible performance from both Rise and Mowgli. Will it carry on through to Villa? We'll find out after a short break. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back. Lost one versus Wolves. That first map felt so fast it barely even happened, Tim. It was over in the blink of an eye. Rise and Mowgli putting on an absolute masterclass, showing what it means to be a winner here at SI. Question marks around whether or not that form can continue all the way through to the finals, but at least for today, Tim, they are laughing their way through to these rounds.
Well, this is it. If that performance continues through Villa and they come away with a 2-0 win, then I think people are going to be speaking about Wolves in very different tones to maybe the ones that they did in the first couple of days. You know, I think if they continue that performance through there, you have to start talking about them as realistic contenders at this tournament.
Look at it.
We know the ability they've got, and they've started to show us 29 kills between Mowgli and Rise.
7-0 entry,
100% costs. Absolutely unreal. I dare say that's probably one of the highest rated performances. I don't know the actual number for the highest rated, but I dare say that Mowgli is up there, if not, has just claimed it.
Low bin, really stressing the bin part of that one.
Yeah.
Down in 5th, unable to make anything happen in that first half, was shut down every single round without fail. And Lost One, I think, would have been humbled a little bit by that map. As we've said, we are going into Villa. This is Lost One's map pick. Understandably, Wolves choose to start on the defensive side, meaning Lost One are going to be the attackers to kick things off. I don't know if map pick is going to be enough of an influence here to turn things around, but so many things weigh into it on the day. Are the players hitting their shots? Are they feeling themselves? Is the communication good? I wouldn't say Lost One look rattled or even upset or down. They're looking good spirits still, which I think is a really valuable thing to have. Acknowledge you've been slapped and just get on with it and don't worry about it. Into the next one and see how they can deliver here. All I know is if Lost One pull and swing things back here hard, Oregon is going to be unbelievable fun.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely wild. But yeah, the question that we're looking at now, the thing to focus on at home, you know, is how do Lost One particularly perform in the 1v1s? How do they perform in the gunfights? How much effect does that last game have on them versus what sort of resilience do they show? Can they just write it off? Can they just ignore it? Can they just, you know, move on from it? That's what we're going to see over the next few rounds, and one of the ways to watch for that is, you know, the confidence in the gunfights, and are they taking the gunfights? Are they the aggressors? Are they being aggressed on too? You know, and the Wolves continue the pace that they've shown us. Now, the bans have come in. We've got Ying, Nomad, Azami, and Mirror. Nomad being the one that stands out there. Again, just speaking towards maybe a slightly more aggressive game for Lost One here. They're the ones that have taken the ban onto the Nomad, so you know, maybe just signalling that they want to get out on the roam. They want that freedom to move around. And Wolves, they need to pay attention to that ban.
As much as we stress that this is the favourite map of Lost One, Wolves are no slouches on it either. They are currently on a 4-win streak over the last few months, beating Liquid, Dire Wolves twice on it. They beat Koi here as well in Stage 3. They don't look bad. What I find interesting is how the ban strategy has changed, where normally they ban away Nook and Valkyrie and pretty much exclusively in every single one of those games. Here, Valkyrie's been let through by both teams, and the Nook, of course, is still available. So wouldn't be surprised to see that being brought along for a couple of rounds as we progress through, especially by the side of Wolves. On the attacking side, no nasty surprises here waiting just yet, and Wolves understandably going to make good use of the Solars because it was so effective for them back in the last map.
Let's get this one underway then. We move into the action phase of round one. It's going to be Aviator Games for the first defense of Wolves as they try to close this upper bracket game out in 2 maps against Lost One, and it will of course propel them forwards into an upper bracket semi-final, which would be huge given the start that we saw them have in groups. They really are showing us that they're on form today. The luck of Siege has been with them as well. There was a couple of moments, but you really can't deny them that after the performance that they've just shown. Lost One, they're on their map pick, it's Villa, and we'll see if they can show us something a little bit better.
So starting things out here, you've got 3 players straight away up on this north to northeast side of the building. You've got Dash down towards the south, so a real spread coming out so far from the side of Lost One, either looking to pincer in or figure out where the armor is a little bit weak and to find their way forwards. It is this Aviator Games hit, the most primary defensive site that we have available on this map. We've got Dash, as you can see, working off inside of Art Studio, trying to remove any players below. Wouldn't be too surprised if they're trying to set up a nade play here from Maya on the downstairs, which will mean at some point he needs to kind of double up with Dash and work through this. Also worth stressing, I know that like Twitch has always been seen as the big, like, big fragging operator. The F2's a demon of a gun. It did get nerfed recently, but then almost as compensation, she got given 2 normal drones. So in reality, Twitch is an info machine right now that can also take out any soft gadgets. 2 shock drones, 2 normal drones, lots of information available to the whole team.
Lost One have gone through a serious information gathering phase and they're using it fantastically as Maya steps in and gets the opening kill onto Mowgli. It gives a little bit of hope for those Lost One fans early in the round. Lobin just runs into sight, manages to find one, and maybe this gives us an idea of the sort of gameplay we're going to see coming out of Lost One. But Wolves, they stand up to it, Des. Bibu's managed to get a double. It's 3 versus 2, 1 minute 10 left on the clock, and I get the feeling that Lost One, they're going to have to take the foot off the gas pedal. But no, Rise has just walked inside of sight. Dash manages to find P4 downstairs, 2v2.
Still with 60 seconds to play as well. There's far from a rush on this one, but the thing is the diffuser's down and outside 90. Dash gonna have to work his way in through the downstairs. Rise has found one. I really feel here like they need to make a call. Either stack up together and go for kills or play for the diffuser. Either works, but Rise says, I don't need a plan, Des. I can just get them both by myself. Closes out round 1 and already a stark contrast to what we saw back on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I think Lost One desperately needed that round, to be honest. Like you say, the Clubhouse map, they were dominated on. It was clear that Wolves were the superior team on that map. And I think that round for them just cements it in their head that map 1 was Clubhouse. It was map 1. That's what's done it. We're not great at playing there. We're back on our turf, and now we can start to pay a little bit back. And I think it really just cements that for them. Probably gives them a lot of confidence that, this is not because as players they're so much better than us. This is just, it was situational. Let's get back to business.
Interestingly, rather than a repeat on Aviator as well, we're going up to trophy and stat tree here in round 2. So Wolves wanting to try something a little bit different. We're not going to see one of our favourites, Tim, the Alimau setup here that G2 so often employ, playing around a soft wall on the triple wall and looking to dance in and out of the rotation to challenge in towards bathroom. Here, going for a much more standard style of setup where they're reinforcing off that triple wall. They're looking to drop down a couple of Banshees around as well to warn them when attackers are approaching. And for the large part, it feels like quite a dug-in style of setup. For now, they have sort of jetted off around the site. You've got P4 working his way around main stairs. Would expect to see at least a couple of players start on the south side and waste time around studying main stairs, and then move their way back as the pressure begins to build.
Dash going straight in towards main door. Going to support the spearhead of that push potentially. I think they're happy enough now that they're not going to be challenged on the windows, so Lost One will be starting to focus their way inside. Now, last time around we saw them use the first half of the round pretty much exclusively for gathering information. There was a lot of drone work, and then they put it to fantastic use. Wolves almost able to stand up to it, but ultimately Lost One's aggression just washed over them a little bit, I think, and here we go. They're going for more of it. Lobin goes in, gets cut down. Can Dash do any better? He picks up the diffuser on his way through. He manages to catch the man out inside of Astro, and that leaves us 4 versus 4. But Bibu, he cuts down Dash, and this attack seems to have fallen apart a little bit. But no, Dots, he's inside of sight, Des.
You know that he's here as well, though, and here we go. Maya finds one for himself. It's trade after trade after trade between these two teams. Really good team play coming out from both, and yet again, Tim, we find ourselves in a 2v2, where Rise is still standing. His only 2 kills so far have come in that 2 versus 2 where he collected both to win the round convincingly for his team. Can he do it again?
I think Lost One have obviously decided the game plan here is fast and frenzied. Get your way in and find those gunfights. They really want to take it to Wolves, but maybe it's not panning out so well. Rise, he's the last one alive. He's in a 1v2. He's got all the time in the world. There's plenty of drones, 5 left on the field, so he may be able to get some information fed back to him, but he's going to have to find 2 successful gunfights if he wants to win this.
He's in no real rush here as well. Got a bit of utility he can play behind in the form of the call, and hopefully that gives him some idea as to what's going on. Maybe drones nearby picking it up, but simply not going to help out. Bibu with a nasty little shot shuts him out the round, and Wolves get themselves on the board.
I'm a little bit concerned for Lost One. Their entire game plan, Dyers, cannot be let's just run into sight every round. You know, they give it a minute, see where everybody is, and then bang, they're inside of sight trying to get kills. It is not going to work every single time. Wolves are a smart team. You know, they've got some of our most experienced players in the game. They've been around the block. They know what's what, and they're not going to start falling for that over and over again. They got away with it in round 1. It's not worked in round 2. I'd like to see Lost One show us something else here on Villa, because I'm sure they've got plenty of other plans.
You know what I've just remembered about Wolves on Villa? Bibu, no!
It did happen on Villa, yeah. He was running in through master bedroom.
He was indeed. I think it was Shepherd defusing. I want to say it was that long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shepherd was defusing and Bibu took too long to get in.
It took too long to get in.
You decried at the very end of the round. Bibu, no!
I think it was something like, I can't remember exactly. It was Bibu in a 1v3 or something, and he got a couple of the kills and just needed to get the person off the diffuser.
Yeah, but held outside too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times, good
classic,
times.
Another classic line.
We've had some good ones on this map. We had Bath Bomb from Sloth.
You did, yeah.
Came in.
You did. I've used that as an example a few times to people.
We've actually had a good few little fun ones on Villa. It's one of those maps that sort of brings about the joy.
For anybody who didn't see that, that was Sloth, currently of Heroic, of course, just hiding inside the bathtub. And a nade was thrown in on him, and Des screamed, "There's your bath bomb."
Good night, I think I said straight after as well. And sure enough, he did.
He did die.
And then you said, "Is the only thing bubbling out of here is Sloth's life?" And I was like, "That's a bit morbid."
It was.
It was great.
Speak only the truth, Des.
Only the truth, Tim. Shinka, let's speak some more truths. Holding down towards main stairs before doubling back in towards site here, looking to use these vertical angles to challenge anyone trying to work in below. Has Bibu helping out from below, though? Has the ability to adapt and react whenever they hear where the aggression is coming from. Interestingly, on that Malusi out in the roam, I know we keep on speaking about it, but being a one-speed, she's nowhere near as fast as she used to be, and also far noisier when she comes running back towards site.
Okay, there's not too much south-sided pressure at the minute, much as we saw
we got top down, I didn't realise.
Yeah, we've got everything here,
Damn.
It's mostly coming from the north side. We're on board with Lobin at the minute, who's looking to get something going inside 90 corridor. Going to be supported by Dots, who gets himself onto that 90 window. And as you can see, Lobin just coming around there. Dots is going to try to open up the vault at range. This is going pretty well so far. 1 minute 30, and Lost One this time, not just running into sight. This is what I wanted to see. Let's go back, you know, to some proper Villa play, and that's what we see.
Yeah, just trying to cut out below as well, again, to stop, I think, Wolves getting downstairs and trying to make use of things like C4s, impacts, whatever it might be to deny the plant when it does eventually look to come through. It's a good idea to start priming things at the very least, but it is a couple of rounds in a row now. We've seen Dash sort of off doing his own thing, either on the Twitch, holding off on flank watch in study, or working in below. Mowgli strikes first, down goes Maya.
Mowgli's still going to be holding the position inside of Study. Can't be allowed to get away with that, and isn't, as Dots manages to get in, trades out Dash, and that's going to leave us now in a 4 versus 2, actually. There's a couple of kills coming quite quickly for Wolves there. P4 managing to take down Lobin, and that leaves us now with Raz and Dots. They've got it all to do. They've got access into the vault. 45 seconds left to go, though, and you're feeling pretty good for Wolves right now.
And they managed to deny away this wall yet again as Shinka picks up another. There's only one remaining. His name is Rise. Somehow I don't think he's rising to the occasion. He'll find himself a kill to pad out the KD, but on 1 HP, it's a single bullet, and he'll be in an early grave. 3 left standing for the side of Wolves. Really not a lot of work to do, as the diffuser is also cold on the ground inside the hallway. One last call, phone home, say your prayers, say goodbye, because this round looks to be done.
He's going to be moving through, just trying to switch up his angles, heading into Map's door, but it's unlikely as the challenge comes in. He's an absolute breath away. It's Rice to take him down, and that is going to be another round going to Wolves. Now, we would expect them to take a majority potentially on a defensive half of Villa. 3-3 is the absolute minimum. 4-2 or better is the aim, I would suggest. Wolves are 2-1 after the first rotation of 3 sites, so a pretty good start for them. Lost One, I feel like again, just struggling for an identity here.
They did, but they also played AVG twice. So now they have to go through to an offside, which will be dining and kitchen, where we could sit at 2-2. So they're breaking up the lovely conversation I like having about quarters and timeouts at the end of 3 rounds. We're not getting that here. They're slightly fractured things apart. I do somewhat agree with you about Lost One's sort of identity here as well, right? Like, we've seen a couple of, I don't want to call them rush rounds, but very hard committed.
Honestly, I think they were. I think that's probably the best way. They weren't in the first 20 seconds of the round, maybe, but
yeah, that's why I kind of stopped short of calling it a rush, because it wasn't like a go-to classic rush, but it was a very fast-paced execute where they tried to take ground very quickly by winning gunfights rather than worrying about playing behind utility, and they paid the price for it once or twice. For the side of Wolves, they seem to have done pretty well in holding down quite firm. How this site goes will be the big teller to me, though, because they've already lost AVG once. We saw them win the other 2 sites. They went back to AVG the third time round, won it there, won trophy and statuary. If they win down here, it does kind of show that maybe that first AVG loss was being caught off guard by Lost One, but outside of that, they are in full control.
Yeah, I feel like, Wolves have been fairly happy to stick to their game so far. Lost One, like I say, without, those aggressive plays working out consistently. I look at round 3 particularly, and I just think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the next plan is. I'm not sure what the backup is at this point. Hopefully, they show us it, because over the last few days, we've really grown to enjoy watching this team. As we've been very positive and supportive of them, but it just looks like, and I've said this a few times, every team will have bad days at tournaments like this, and it's just looking like this might be Lost Ones. The question is, how do you recover from it? How do you perform during it? And can you overcome it without a loss? Those are the championship winning teams usually.
They didn't really get very much open here. It's been impacted off, so just the one, which is actually quite ideal in a way for Wolves to be able to challenge back through on this triple wall. I think narrowly missed the drone there, just dancing.
I think it just came in as it moved around.
Just taking it out there as well. Gone down to 5 now on the side of the attackers. So for Wolves, they've done a good job in trying to deny this wall away. There's only really one Selma left on side that can do any real impact for them, but they've already found themselves losing Lobin here, who again is having a terrible time, and it's a jump out on Villa. Don't see that every day.
It's a long way back inside the map, put it that way, but I just don't think Lost One are in a position to be able to challenge Mowgli. Dots is going to take a lot of damage as well as he tries to get onto the Astro stairs. I think looking for the returning Mowgli, he is going to find the kill on him, but he's going to take a lot of damage in doing so. However, Meyer on fantastic cover there before P4 manages to take down Dash, and that leaves us in a 3v2.
Again, as a reminder, this isn't even the site we're looking at here as well. Had a perfectly lined up headshot, but Bibu sitting around library as he was back on the Malusi previously, helping out his team where required. Very similar to the role that Benja played against Koi back on day 1, interestingly. Just able to float and join the team where best required. Dots left all alone, has 2 Otter Shields in back pocket, but I'm afraid they aren't going to be too much use here against both Bibu and Shinka.
This is exhausting to watch at the minute, Des. It's just absolute, like you say, craziness all around the map, everywhere but the site quite often. We're going to have Dots just taking out the default cam and the frost mats. He doesn't need anything distracting him at this point. He's got a lot of work to do. He can't move in through that fire. Needs to be very careful. He is low health. But unfortunately for him, the Wolves players are just watching their angles here. It's unlikely that he gets both. Nope, walks into the crossfire. And that is going to be a final kill for Wolves. They take round 4. And that leaves them 3-1 up, and they are starting to hit cruise control at this point.
I really love the team play we're seeing coming out of them. Throughout this week, that's been a bit fragmented. We've seen players taking 1v1s. We've seen really badly whiff gunfights. I know P4 has really drawn a lot of iron flack for how some of his plays have come about, but in this game, I know it's not really P4 that was celebrating it, it's the other players that have been doing incredibly well, but there's not too much you can fault. And what I love is that going into a second map, it's a different player that's shining. It's Bibu this time at 7-1. The others still doing all that they need to, but everything is about him right now.
I'm going to bring up the entry kills. Again, we spoke about them on Clubhouse. It was an area of the game that Wolves absolutely excelled in. And unfortunately for Lost One fans, it's an area that they are continuing to dominate. Out of 4 rounds so far, it is 3-1 in favour of Wolves on the entry. And unsurprisingly, it's the last 3 rounds that they've picked up those entry kills. When Wolves get the entry kill, they tend to go on and take the round. That's what we're seeing over the last couple of maps. And Lost One just don't seem to have a consistent answer to that.
They don't know. It's It's that thing they've got to find an answer to. They've got to find a way through this first half to at least come out in some kind of fighting shape before they switch over to the defense. Because if I think of anything about Wolves when they're on form, they are incredible at collapsing when it comes round to executing and just leaving the other team completely overwhelmed. It's what's been missing for most of this week, but has really shone through in so many of their EUL matchups. For now, at least, though, let's see what Dash can get done on the Nook. Up onto the 90 rappel, where he will no doubt find himself somewhat challenged here, as there was a player just rotating through 90 a second ago, but has moved back towards safety, all inside the first 30 seconds.
Mowgli in a key position at the minute inside of games. He's going to be, inside of Aviator. He's looking to just potentially stop any push coming through from the south side. Maya is on the study balcony. I'm going to be looking to get in on the Iana there now. Then the drone just inside of Vault does not see Mowgli. So I'm not 100% sure how aware Maya is of this position, but I think he's actually dipped away from the fight. We're going to switch over to the other side of the map, just have a little look at the master push that's going on. But yeah, it's very tentative here on the south side. Maya and Mowgli just doing a little dance of death at the minute, but Maya not keen to push on in.
Well, Mowgli was unsure because he didn't know if there was a Claymore outside. He has 2 impacts of which he can clear away, but without knowing if there's one there, it's, as silly as it sounds, quite a critical bit of utility to burn if you want to try and make a play like that a little bit later into the round. For now, at least he'll hold on to them, and the longer he just sits down here on the south side, bearing in mind 90 seconds are gone, the longer we're going to have Maya being impeded.
Dash is moving through. He might just be able to find himself one here. It's the Jaeger of Bibu, and it would be a big pickup if he could take him down. But I think Bibu, that movement just maybe shows that he knows that this is coming. He's going to dip himself away. No, absolute freebie for Dash. Great play there from Lost One to get themselves that entry. Let's see now if they can follow that up with the round.
It's a good start. Bibu was almost away to safety as well. They get the second. Shinka falling down here. Mowgli naturally gets the response. Maya the one to fall this time around. A big north side focus coming in from Lost One then. Again, still work to do, but at least they are close to the site. And P4 is sat close with that shotgun in hand. There's one. Easy peasy.
So easy when you're at that close range. Mowgli manages to get another as he pushes back in towards the site, I think, finding a headshot. And there's another. Mowgli starting to pop off when Wolves need it. Can't find the kill onto Rise, but does an awful lot of damage and leaves him on the back foot. Seriously, in this 1v2, he's going to run into the shotgun as well if he's not careful. He doesn't know which way to go. He does not find his man as the cover is there from Rise, and that is going to be 4-1 now for Wolves, and they are starting to really move ahead in this matchup.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Mowgli again taking a round and completely turning it on its head. One matchup I'll be dying to see at some point will be Wolves coming up against Oxygen, because Nuas, we've spoken about him endlessly, right? And I know Wolves have had an up and down tournament, so you're not seeing Mowgli up there in the stats, but you cannot deny that he is one of the best talents that we currently have in the game. So for him and Nuas to go head to head, it would be a gift. An absolute gift to all who get to observe it. Would absolutely love it. Last time they played was back at the Berlin Major, actually, where they won one map each. So it's kind of an unsettled draw between the two teams that need something else to go down. Who knows, maybe we'll get that in the next couple of rounds of the tournament.
We're going to have the verticals getting opened up. It's actually Living Room Library as the final site for Wolves here, taking us on the full tour. The only site that we haven't seen so far, but they're going to give us a little look and see what they can offer. There's going to be quite a severe hold of the top floor. They're going to want to hold on to Aviator games. If you're wanting to learn for your ranked games, where do I need to cover above for the downstairs sites on Villa? It's quite easy. It actually matches up largely to the top floor sites. So if you go in Living Room and Library, you want to be holding on to Aviator games. If you go into Dining Kitchen, you want to hold on to Trophy and Master. It's not quite, well, it's statuary as well, but the areas line up.
I just realised, by the way, and all I've just said about Wolves against Oxygen, if Wolves win this game and Oxygen win the series currently going on against M&M, where they're 1-0 up, that's the matchup.
Bracket semi-final.
On Wednesday. That would be unreal.
It would be absolutely fantastic.
All right. Let's see if Lost One can at least get something going here in their last attacking round. Otherwise, they're staring down the barrel of a 5-1, and no one wants to be in that position. I always love as well how some teams have tried to defend the upstairs here for this site, but not really made use of the vault holes. We've seen some really cool defenses actually involving Vitality. They were one of the first teams to employ this hold against BDS, who lost to it one day, came back again on Villa the next day, and brought an Amaru that can play through basement and get up through the hatch and made a plant happen inside of site. Without the side of Wolves, they're known as Vitality, even knowing what was going on.
Right then, we haven't had our opening kills. They have been a little bit slow coming of the opening kills so far on this map, tending to be Lost One using the first half or so to get themselves into a position to start pushing, to start that attack. Mowgli's got himself a bit of a battle going on here. Maya takes a lot of damage but does manage to take Shinka down, and this is looking good for Lost One at the minute. They're coming in and decimating this top floor hold. A number of kills come in, Lobin, Dash. Dash gets himself a double P4, just trying to hold back the tide with a bucket at the minute, only finding 1 kill along the way, 1 versus 4. He's going to need an ace to close this out as a win for Wolves, but a 4-2 half won't be the end of the world for them, I wouldn't have thought, but Lost One almost certain to get in there and find that final kill as the Gemini decoy comes around the corner. They know where P4 is now. They've got a good idea which part of the map he finds himself in, and he's going to find himself down as Dash gets the line of sight they need, and Lost One take their second round.
It's better. It's a start. It is 2 rounds on the attacking half of Villa. I think even 18 months ago, no one would have bit your hand off if you offered the, well, some people would have bit your hand off if you offered that to them. So for Lost One, it's far from the end of the world. Now you really get to see them in their prime, though. They're going into, again, their favourite map on the defensive side of things. This should be where you really see what Lost One are made of. If Wolves can close things out here, though, in the next 2 or 3 rounds, you even start worrying for Lost One potentially when they fall down into the lower bracket.
You certainly will. You were actually, I think, right, Des, as well. I was just having a quick look at our schedule there.
Tell me I'm right, Tim.
You're often right. Oh. I think the first upper bracket game is the upper bracket finals that would be on stage.
Yes, because we have the 2 semi-finals on Wednesday.
Yes, so we would need another win after this one, just to correct ourselves from that.
Yeah, so on Wednesday we have lower bracket round 3, which is 2 games, and we have upper bracket semis that are also 2 games. You get a real good split of the 2. We aren't actually working that day, Alice. We get to sit back and watch some games.
Back and enjoy them.
I'll happily sit back and watch Oxygen and Wolves go at each other.
The first day in Plasbel on Friday, the upper bracket game that we will see that day would be the upper bracket final. So these teams will need to win here, and then they'll need 1 more after this, and that will get them onto the stage. So there is work to be done. But Wolves, they've closed out that first half. There's 4-2. Lost One managing to get themselves around. Haven't pulled the trigger on a tactical timeout just yet. I think they're happy to sort of see how the first couple of defensive rounds goes, because they're going to be expecting to pick a couple up here.
Whew. Okay. We start rolling, we start moving. On the Lost One side, you're looking towards this lineup and just saying it's not a big roaming-based competition here. More looking to try and keep the Wolves at bay with a lot of utility. My only concern there being is the amount of time they actually have to work with is quite surmountable. They've already got themselves working in through study, checking out what's going on downstairs. They seem to be a pretty stable setup with main stairs being held, a couple playing inside a site, one kind of wondering his way around towards 90, but as of yet, study left completely bare. Which is somewhat expected.
It is.
Can't play there, it's a death trap. Except Dots kind of is looking to hold and challenge inside. Of course, knows about the far window on the east side as well, where normally you will have a player challenging whilst one tries to work in on the south side. Easy nade from below, though, as Bibu collects one. Being challenged here, and there's 2 players downstairs. One in Art Studio, one on the main stairs. Good response from Lost One.
Fantastic, 1 for 1 at the minute. Dash has got an opportunity to maybe move back up red stairs if he wants to, but I think for now he's going to keep causing a nuisance on the downstairs as Wolves all stack up on this study balcony, looking to get themselves inside and looking to push forward. Dash does get himself back upstairs onto the 90 corridor. He's going to be playing just inside of the window there and looking to just prevent any control from around Vault. They don't want Vault to get opened if at all possible, if they can avoid that. Wolves do manage to aggress in here. There's going to be a freebie for Rise as he finds one, and that leaves us now in a 4 versus 3. They could think about getting into side.
I'm wondering what they do about the flank here as well, as there was one coming up main stairs. I think maybe they just got taken out actually as well. Maya in that trade as it came on through. Dash trying to work his way through, but being challenged by every possible window. Ironically, Wolf window working in favour of Wolves here. There's 1 left standing. It's Lobin by himself. No C4 on side. Rise is sticking this plan down. It looks like Wolves are going to find themselves with yet another round in the books.
That is not good for Lost One. 5-2 with an attacking win for Wolves. You sort of feel like maybe Lost One were edging their bets on the defensive side, on being able to start claiming rounds and holding on. And there on their primary site, even with the opening kill, Wolves were still able to get it done. So it's really starting to look like there's just a bit of a gulf between these two teams at the minute.
Massively, yeah. Now, whether that's, I mean, Wolves are on a real high today. They're playing out of their skin. The sort of performance, again, that we see in the European League semi-regularly from them. Lost One a little bit asleep at the wheel. Lobin, I'd have to get my stats up to look at the exact numbers, but we haven't seen him come online the way that he has, and him and Maya are kind of this duo that have really, really shone. Now, Tim, this looks like a strategy we're quite familiar with. 3 castle barricades being brought down inside of Master. No doubt a rotation coming soon into the triple wall, and then looking to have someone dancing in and out of that spot. Who's playing the Alamau spot here that we normally see coming out for G2? It could be anything, but my money would probably be on being Maya or Lobin. If we wanted a direct replacement, you'd say maybe Rise, given the position that normally he plays in for this team, but it could also be Dash playing on the Ela.
5 seconds to go.
Okay then, let's get into round 8 and see if Lost One have got anything here that they can hold on with, because if not, they're going to be in serious trouble. Honestly, I think if Wolves this is a swing round for me. It's one of those rounds it might not be enough for Lost One to win this one, but I feel like if they don't, I can't see Wolves losing things. If they get themselves onto map point and have 4 opportunities to close it out, that means that Lost One are going to have to successfully defend weak sites for themselves statistically, and it's going to be a big problem.
It is. To hear the full burn from Wolves coming in, with most of them working their way up through study, does mean there's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of players potentially to clear away. Maya's the one holding up on the dock as well, an operator that he has played through an awful lot of this competition, mainly on border, to be honest with you. It's where we've seen him picking it up, but understandably, why wouldn't you want to pick it elsewhere? Lobin getting a little bit cheeky down to the window and finding Rise. That's the Zofia off the board, so the range soft destruction no longer available for the side of Wolves. P4 also looking to dance on a challenge up towards 90, so hoping to catch him out, but it's simply not going to happen as Maya brings down Mowgli as well. The 2 big players from last map are off the board, Tim.
P4 just creeping into the smoke there. He's going to see his man, doesn't quite get the opportunity quickly enough to be able to take him down. Bibu working from the window, and you just feel that the pressure is really starting to mount on to Lost One a little bit. Even though they're in a 3v5, it's every move they make. There seems to be an ADS looking at them, but they just need to hold on for a little bit longer. You feel if they can hold on for another 30 seconds or so, then that execute is going to start looking pretty difficult for Wolves, but they're just happy to hold their positions. First kill comes in. That's important for Maya though. Getting that direct trade leaves us now in a 4 versus 2, and you just feel if that kill could have been clean for P4, maybe they could have done something, but absolutely not. Lost One, they just pile on top of that kill, get themselves around, and that was so important for them to take round 8. Brings it back to 5-3.
This is the danger now. Starting to see a little bit of gas being injected into the Lost One side. In case you're wondering what that message was, Bibu said nice shot, and Lobin said thanks.
You love to see the mutual respect. These players...
Yeah, it's not Wolves versus G2. Come on, let's be real.
Not quite, no. You know, in the majority of cases, even in the games that you see where there's the banter going backwards and forwards, there's the shout.
What it makes you think of? The number of times you've seen teams like giving it large and they walk around and shake hands and say, well played, well played. You ever seen the gif of the 2 dogs that are at a gate go at each other? The gate slides open, they both just stop and fall silent, look at each other like very chill dogs. Then it recloses again and they start barking and going mental. It reminds me of that every single time.
The thing is, you know, at the end of the day, they spend a lot of time playing, playing games against each other, and it's not personal at the end of the day. They're all there to win. And if they think they can get a little bit of an edge by shouting over the top of the screen at the other team and things like that, then they'll do it. They'll go for it. But ultimately, they can all appreciate a good bit of skill from the other team as well.
I didn't hear this earlier on, but apparently during G2's timeout when Wolves played against them, Bibu was just screaming for the first 20 seconds of the timeout. So I imagine all G2 could really hear is just Bibu going, woo, and a bunch of other French words that I can't.
I mean, that's one technique, I guess.
I mean, I'm all for it.
I think that's where the noise cancelling comes in. They do have headphones to
but you might first of all pick up some noise.
They have a little bit to take out some of that outside noise, but like you say, I'm sure that it does bleed through as well. Lobin's going to be looking to get aggressive in master bedroom there. He's just pushing onto concrete, going to use an impact nade to take out a drone. He knows he's going to be pushed through bathroom. Time for him to get away, and that's exactly what he will try to do. Takes a little bit of damage. Over the balcony he goes, so he will live to fight another day. P4 takes a shot along the way as he goes, and that leaves us still 5v5, but an early exchange in round 9.
Evolving to the rapid aggression that comes out of Wolves, I think, is absolutely paramount if they're going to win this game. We've seen back in the first round of Clubhouse, 2 or 3 players being caught out on the main stage, retreat back down to basement because Wolves were just there when they were not expecting them to be. Thought they had more time, more seconds remaining until they'd start getting bullets coming their way, but it simply wasn't to be the case. Here, at least he has got away a bit more safely. Lobin almost being taken out as Mowgli is looking for his man, expecting a repeat, but nope. Lobin's going to dash away, having lost half his HP, wants to keep himself on the field.
Pretty calm so far in this round. It's just waiting for that goal point when Wolves feel they're in a position to push forward. They're currently trying to get the information here. Lost one, just try and see exactly where this is coming from. It's going to be Mowgli to take Lobin out to begin with. The one big question mark that I've got is, are Wolves aware of Dash down in basement? He's holding himself on the red stairs at the minute, and his timing could be crucial in this round. 1 minute, 10 seconds to go. You worry about the action on screen. We'll keep an eye on Dash, and we'll see if that flank is going to come off later in the round. But for now, P4, they're pushing into 90.
It's also the question of whether or not there's a flank drone down there watching the red corridor. You probably expect it, and they'd see him make the move, but it's all about that timing you just saw. There we go. Up here on the rail, they know exactly what's going on, which means he's dead to right, surely. No response yet as Dots brings down Bibu, and Maya gets the second, decimating the 90 assault.
Dots actually getting the man from inside a sight there, and that's really good teamwork from Lost One. Just managing to do that now, then a direct trade. That's not ideal for Wolves. It leaves them in a 2v3 that could have been a 3v3. Mowgli's looking to push inside a sight. Can't find the first as Dots. He's had a big round, and we'll come back to that. Second kill for him, taking down Mowgli, and it's now all up to Rise. 20 seconds left to go, and no option but to get aggressive here. He needs to go in and just find himself a couple of kills. No diffuser in hand. It's unlikely. Oh no, it was there, just in place for him to be able to connect. Shinka must have dropped it at the top of red, but 10 seconds left to go. He's being challenged from 90, he's being challenged from sight, he's being challenged from everywhere, and that's another good round for Lost One. 4-5 now, and Dots needs to take a bow on that. It'd be easily missed, but a couple of big kills from him, particularly to protect Dash. Bibu left himself stood in the open with the confidence that he knew Dash was coming. Dots, however, steps out, protects his man, and gets the kill to the top of red.
A gente tem estátua pra ir?
Tem, não, é banheiro.
Tem só embaixo. Só de baixo. Biblioteca ou cozinha?
Cozinha é aquela que a Fernanda
Je vais la prendre là, tu vois.
Les gars, faut pas encore hésiter à se parler, prendre son temps. Là, genre, celle d'abord, on peut l'éviter 100%. Yanis avait un free kill pushé par en bas et vous n'êtes pas parlé, tu vas sauter dessus. Ok, vous traînez, mais vous pouvez peut-être à mort.
qui tenait en bas. Ouais, allez, c'est pas grave.
Next.
Là, dans la com, bien sur des plans de jeu simples. On sait faire, on l'a fait constamment.
Exact, c'est vraiment ça, c'est juste des plans de jeu.
Mais c'est mort comment là, les patients?
Moi, en la vérité, on s'en fout, moi.
There we go, from a tack pause into a technical timeout to get a couple of things rectified, Tim. It's at that point now where I'm feeling that inflection point where Lost One are starting to win rounds, and this is when it gets a little bit concerning for Wolves. If Lost One can battle their way back in here, build some momentum on the defensive side of Villa, they go into Oregon, which is their second most popular map. They love playing on that map, real high preference for it. Yeah. Do Wolves then really start to see this one slip away?
Well, you know, I've often said this about the momentum that can be carried from winning the second map. If you have to go to 3, I feel it's better generally to win the second map because you're the one that's carrying that positivity through. I will say I think Lost One have got a lot of work to do yet before we start thinking about map 3. They've got themselves back-to-back rounds. That is a big point for them. I dare say I will check map 1. They certainly haven't had back-to-back rounds before this point on Villa. Let me just check when we have a look at Clubhouse whether that was the case. No, they didn't have back-to-back rounds on Clubhouse, so up to this point they've only actually won 1 round at a time, so just getting 1 back-to-back is going to be big for them, and maybe that can be a little bit of a turning point, a building block for them to start working from. But yeah, I think they need this next round. I wouldn't like to see Lost One 6-4 down. I think they need to level it up here so they're not facing too many map points. But Wolves have certainly, I won't say dropped off, I'm not going to get that critical of them, but I think it's more Lost One have had the answers over the last couple of rounds.
Well, the big one here to note is that this is basically a mirror of what we saw in the first half. Fourth round of the second half is exactly the same as fourth round of the first, in that it's a dining and kitchen defense, the first of its kind. Lost one, I think I'm with you, really need to be able to break that one-round winning curse here. They've got to be able to get a couple on the back. That brings us up to 5-5, and suddenly it's Wolves that then start to sweat a little bit.
Okay then, Lobin going to be setting up with the Capcan. We've seen a lot of positive impact from the Capcans, to be honest,
loads
so far at Six Invitational. It's always going to test the information gathering of the team that you're playing against, and we've seen kills, we've seen downs, we've seen damage done from those EDD devices that Capcan puts out, so it's been certainly a worthwhile pick so far on the defence.
It has. And the thing also, the fact that for a lot of teams really like his gun is the main reason why pros tend to pick it up. C4 on side as well never really helps, plus a bunch of gadgets that are fantastic for time wasting is another big one.
Rise, just hunting down those gadgets, hunting down the drones, seeing what he can find. Not going to be any for the time being. Looking at the side, they've actually got 9 drones left on side, which is pretty good going to say that they're up against the Solis at the minute. You would expect that to be lower. Rise on the side of Wolves manages to get a kill onto Maya, and that is a great opener.
Looking for some more at the back of that as well, though, for sure. If Wolves can bring it up to 6-4 here, it really does start to crush the spirits a little bit of the other side. Trying to isolate this one player that's sat behind bar here as well. Rise knows exactly where he is. Drone's helping things out as well, but that's been taken down too. How many more can they commit? Apparently not a lot is the answer, as Rise has been taken down by Lobin. He was the one looking to push in towards bar, and with that now being shut down, well, they're in for a war to hurt. Rise cannot be moved. He'll hold here for a little bit longer, and now Wolves have to be ever present and ever thoughtful of the thought of a backstab.
Certainly do. Like you say, you can...
Unless Mowgli can just
as the defender, he can just sit there all day. He doesn't need to move. He just take a little bit of damage on the spray through the wall there, but unable to find his man. Sure, he comes back and gets the kill. Yes, he does. Great play from the Solis. Can we find another? Yes! Takes down P4. Beautiful double from Rise. And what damage it has done to the attack of Wolves. Bibu able to get in and get that trade, but it still leaves them in a 2v3, and they haven't even started approaching sight.
They haven't, no. I've really got to give Rise a shout out, by the way, in the Rise for Lost One rather than Rise for Wolves. But Rise on Lost One have since played so many different defensive operators, whether it's being more aggressive on the Solis, out and about around the map, or playing far more defensive on things like Mute. So far, he's shown real versatility. You know, again, playing that kind of role that we see Alamal doing for G2, with the ability to play between really aggressive things like Twitch, all the way to more passive supportive operators depending on the map. And these players that play a lot of flex roles are the ones who are kind of determined to be, you know, the unlucky one on the team. They've got to play the things that no one else wants to. Rise does that, yet still puts up really good numbers quite consistently too. Really impressive player.
Dash is just holding his line underneath before striking with a headshot onto Bibu. Shinka taking half health damage there as well, leaving us now in a short finish for Lost One as they level things up 5v5. And Des, it looks like they might just have activated.
May well have just. Definitely on their way to it. I mean, that 5-5 scoreline, as we said, is a dangerous one. 6-4, maybe you're thinking Wolves can just about get it over the line. At 5-5, I'm convinced we're seeing at the very least overtime, if not potentially that third map with a 7-5 scoreline.
I'd agree with you. I'm not sure that Wolves can find the attacks at this point. We're going to see them trying to mix up their operator selection a little bit. We'll see if that sticks. No, it does not. Bibu, it was Bibu I was looking at as well. They do have the fuse on Shinka, which is one change at least, but Bibu on the Blackbeard was another interesting prospect. We're actually going to see both of those picks switched out, with the fuse switching out to a much more regular Dokkaebi pick. So that will leave us with that. Rise is bringing along the castle on the defensive side, so that's an interesting one to note. It is in trophy statuary, so not drastically unusual. We would expect to see some of those applied out in master bedroom to prevent too much of a line of sight being gained in through the sort of half windows that are there, and maybe a little bit over to wolf window as well sometimes, just to prevent that direct line into sight.
Let's see how we shape up on trophy and statuary. Similar lineup once again, by the way, Tim, with that castle coming in. Looking to commit that out towards the... Are we going to call it the Alimal hold at this point?
You see, for us in EU...
A lot of LATAM teams do it.
For us in EU, Alamau's sort of... He's earned that position.
So how well he plays it, right?
But we haven't seen it on an international scale yet, so I feel like we might need to hold off on an international level until he does it.
All right, then. We won't call it the LML hold so far, but it'll get towards being that if things carry on the way they are for G2. Mowgli working his way straight in, and look at that. Straight ready to go out the door. Rise once again impressing. Catching one out and has got the support of his teammate to back into.
Taking a lot of damage, but he won't mind that at all. By removing the Thinker, you've also removed those nano health boosts that can come into the rest of the team. So that is a big pickup to begin with. And P4 just going in without information. Des Wolves look like they lost at sea here. Dash getting an absolute freebie from Red Stairs, and this is a world away from the team that we saw on Clubhouse that was so good with their information. They were so good at knowing everything that was ahead of them, and it just doesn't look like the case for Wolves on Villa.
Doesn't feel like they're in control, does it? You know, Matt really having a swing here for Lost One, who are showing real prowess on the defensive side, expected from the best map they've got. Rise have no idea what's going on. The real painful thing there is, Tim, he had a drone going in front of him, but they still didn't spot the player in behind the bar. Just feels like they're hiding in the walls at this point and taking down members of Wolves for free. Rise still dug in. Flash is coming in, and surely his days are numbered here. Won't find anything, gets finished off, but the damage has been done. Wolves are in a 2 versus 4.
Shinka getting his kill, but like you say, probably just a little bit too late inside this round. Bibu, he's working into what is going to be the line of sight for somebody on the side of Lost One as he tries to get himself inside of Statuary. He's getting the yellow ping there, but it's going to be old information. I think it's not current. There is nobody sat on that position. Shinka's trying to support with the push into trophy at the same time, but you just feel like Wolves' days are numbered here as the pressure is going to mount from Lost One. 45 seconds, and ultimately there's going to come a point that Wolves need to take that step into sight. They need to take that push forward, and as you can see, as they do, it's just bullet after bullet. Bibu, he manages to find one nice headshot onto Maya. 35 seconds left to go.
Low with a naughty little one-tap onto Shinka, who took up the spot that Bibu was in. Tucks one into Bibu's leg as well. Down a half HP against 3. Tim, it feels like that 6-5 scoreline is upon us. Lost One might be able to close things out 7 and 5 here.
Very possibly. It's a matter of time before Bibu pushes into sight. That's exactly what he's going to do there. And you just feel, there you go, final kill comes in. Lost One, they get themselves the map point opportunity.
Ooh, what a turnaround.
It's fantastic.
Oregon's going to be really exciting. Assuming, of course, we get there, things can still go crazy and go to overtime here. But this confidence that's being shown is the kind of stuff I'm used to seeing out of Lost One, that we've enjoyed all week long, is not being scared of getting up in a gunfight. And again, so much of this has come down to Rise and the way that he plays.
Você é o Arden, não vai ser você. Tá, por causa que a Gridlock vai smocar Neymar, se ela for rushar lá e você vai impedir isso. Mas de qualquer jeito, se não for o rush, vai ser bom estar em você. Tá? Fica atento com isso. Você
Meloso padrão. Beleza, fechou.
Aí você fica ligeiro pra você marcar a marcação com o dodge. Pra maquete. Pra maquete, o quê?
É, a primeira porta-cofre. Entrou no bomba, é a primeira porta-cofre.
Isso. Foca nessa tensão do anti-rush, tá, guys? Mesmo assim, se for pro overtime qualquer coisa, a gente mantém fazendo esse estilo de defesa, é um anti-rush total.
Tá, beleza.
Ataque já tem tudo setado, você já sabe o que fazer.
Beleza.
E joga agora.
Joga no caralho, porra.
Esse cara tá Pô, velho, tá faltando o capricho dele, mano. O cara tomou meio, o cara tomou errado, tá? Os caras tão...
O cara veio do drone.
Os caras, mano...
I was trying to determine if I feel this timeout was a bit of a mistake. The momentum's with you. You've won 2 rounds on the bounce now. You've really, putting Wolves to the board here and putting them to challenge. And what you've just done is given them 45 seconds to figure out how they're going to force this through to overtime. Not that it massively matters, because Lost One will start on the defense in overtime. It was their map pick, therefore they get to choose where they start in overtime. But I just feel you're giving them a way back in.
Yeah, I'd agree. It is strange timing when you've got that round. Obviously, Lost One, they've had to fight to get there, so I can appreciate them feeling like they just need to sort of solidify what's going on, just sort of cement their approach, just let things sort of settle and simmer. But at the same time, like you say, they've just given that length of time to Wolves as well, as a free tactical timeout, essentially. I think the way I would look at that is if you said to Wolves, you can have a free tactical timeout now if you want, would they take it? And I think the answer is yes, they would take it every time. So by doing that, you're gifting them that. So I think, yeah, they might have been better just sort of continuing and trying to keep that momentum and push forward before Wolves could really think too much about it. Now then, a triple cap can cut.
You don't see that every day.
I don't see it too often.
They do 60 damage apiece, which means you won't kill a 3-speed operator with just the 2. sometimes I've seen them do downs onto like two armor operators. So they really want to make sure whoever steps through is dead, Tim.
Dash has played this position quite often on the lower red stairs towards basement, and it's something I'd like Wolves to pick up on. They thought they were going to deal with it last time with Bibu at the top of red stairs, but Dot stepped out and had the cover of his teammate from inside a site. So it's definitely something that I feel that they need to deal with, maybe clear from basement up and just make sure that they've either forced him back to site or got the kill, but definitely not something they can ignore again.
No, calls potentially coming in as well from Shinka. There we go. Out it comes just to try and force him that little step further back. A C4 onto the hatch of all places, Tim.
Bibu manages to open things up onto Maya. Good start for Wolves. Dots, however, is going big again. He's had some really important moments. His stats might not quite show it. He's not got the most kills on the side, but he's certainly had some vital ones. And that is another one just to break the momentum that Wolves might have been building off the back of that opening kill from Bibu. Leaves us 4 versus 4.
Dots is a really interesting player because although he's currently lowest rated on the team, it's just not that massive a variance. 0.94 to 1.09. Dots at the bottom, Lobin at the top. He's positive on entry. 13 and 10 he's on as a support player as well. So getting pulled into a good number of fights, admittedly, across the whole of SI so far. It's negative on KD, which is why he's a little bit lower, but has again made himself known in some of these games, especially when it comes around to fragging out. Bibu, though, putting one more in the ground. Down goes Lobin, who, as we said several times, has really struggled this series.
Going to have Bibu trying to find a nade from underneath. He's got a little bit of information, but certainly not enough. The challenge is going to come potentially through that hole he's just opened up. Dot steps up to it, but not going to be able to find his man. Out goes a Toxic Babe canister, though, and he continues the work to try and find that vertical angle onto Bibu. It's 4 versus 3, and Wolves have still got an opportunity to take us to overtime. You feel like the next kill is going to be a vital one.
100%. It's about moving forward and thinking about this execute now in these final 30 seconds. They've got control. Mowgli has established himself inside a site, but they know they see the barrel of the gun and gets put in the dirt as well. It's 1 per side so far. Dot's in such a critical position here to hold back the aggressors. Oh, and there it is.
In comes that kill. Rise is going to be looking to... Sorry, Shinka manages to get the kill onto Dots. Dash is the last one alive. Shinka is going to be getting that diffuser down. Bibu's going to be on the cover. He is low health. There is an opportunity for Dash potentially, but he can't get in time. Shinka not only plants, but finds the final kill. And Des, we are going to overtime.
I love how much that saying is suddenly spread as well. Apparently W7M was saying it earlier.
I know.
Overtime! Apparently very Brazilian meets Mancunian.
It blows my mind, it really does. I just say these silly little things and it seems that people enjoy them. I love it.
People from Burnley just sound funny, mate.
I love it.
Burnley.
That's not how we say it.
That's how you sound.
Absolutely not.
There's always this little, like, twists on certain letters.
I always find it funny that I can say things and people repeat it back to me differently as if that's what I've said. And that town specifically is one, of course. If I say Burnley, people go, "Oh, Burnley!" I'm like, well, no, I didn't say that, did I?
You did, though. I heard no difference in those two words.
I just said Burnley.
Burnley.
There you go, that's fine.
But you had like...
But that's not how you said it the first time.
Yeah, but the first time you said laser gates, it was really emphasised.
Yeah, it was, to be fair.
And that's what I've latched onto, and so is the rest of the
And I tell you what, Des, if I could go back, I'd do it exactly.
And I would not ask you to change a thing, Tim. As said here in overtime, lost 1, start on the defensive side. They get 2 swings of the bat. Wolves are going to have to try and find their way through, assuming, of course, it goes all the way to 15. Another thing that Tim loves to say. Wolves may well crack it here on the attacking side and then win in their next defensive round, in which case it's done and dusted. And that second defensive round advantage that Lost One have, it's forgotten about, and Oregon awaits us round the corner. All I can say is, Tim, is I truthfully have no idea which way these next 3 rounds can go.
No, I don't.
Except someone will win. That's about the only known end.
I expect Lost One to come out on top. The defenders have had the advantage, as we do often expect for Villa. They went for... What a jump out. He's not going to go back to confirm it. Lobin going to take damage there. Wolves
I love it. I love
it. Got away with this, Des. What a swing. It looked like Lobin was going out of the window to a guaranteed kill. Slightly misses the headshot. P4 gets picked back up. Lobin's in the dirt, and we're in a 5v4.
I spoke about this a few rounds ago. It's one thing I don't think Lobin has really adapted too well to, is Wolves are so fast at capitalising on opportunities. They see a player out of position, they'll pounce on them. Lobin has had this time time and time again where even when he's found the entry kill, there's been 2 or 3 players from Wolves ready to cover for the player that he's killed to get the trade back on the other side. In most cases, you'd still say, fine, it's still an advantage over really to the attackers, to the defenders. They've killed an attacker off, great. But now, as you've seen, he's died so early on. They've got the full hack on all of these cameras, including the bulletproof, which means we're going to see Lost One have to go through and kill off all of their friendly cameras.
Dash is moving himself back into study just to try and keep a bit of pressure on that side of things. But at the minute, there's nothing coming from Wolves on that side of the map. It is all north side. It's going to be trying to get control over 90, maybe open Vault up if they can get Rise in there, and an ultimate plant inside of Map's door. 1 minute 20 left to go. Wolves have got the time here. They don't need to rush. They can make sure that everything is clear ahead of them. Finally, Mowgli is going to move down onto the south side. He's going to be the one looking to just try and apply a bit of pressure there. They're going to shoot out the top of the wall. Over goes the nade. That'll clear out the mute jammer and activate the Selmas. So that is the vault opened up and dealt with, as we can see. And this is good from Wolves so far, Des.
One on the window as well. P4 tucks himself away, joined by Vibu. They're really trying to put a lot of pressure here on 19 in towards Vault. The next focus, though, really should be the side door. Map's door here specifically now going to be the big focus for them, as they've got good pressure that forces most of Lost One out of playing around Vault. It's going to be a massive risk if they step inside there, because, again, the player that's on the 90 repel just gets a lovely free angle through.
Yeah, the one problem that they've got at the minute in thinking of planting is how do they stop the player pushing out of Vault. Rise has just gone over to Study side to try and assist with that. They really could do with somebody inside of Study, but at the minute Dash is preventing that. We're going to have kills coming in either way. That's really important from Mowgli. He's going to allow a plant. That is a big moment. It's all up to Maya fighting his way back in, but Vibu shuts him down in Study, and that is going to be a great attack from Wolves. I love how we saw that unfold, Des, just tackling piece by piece of the puzzle that was in front of them until they're in a position to get that diffuser down, and ultimately Wolves, they take a big advantage on Villa, and they now have one defense available to close this out and win in 2 maps.
That's exactly it, right? They get to go on the defense here. That's the big one. And I'm guarantee you, if they can avoid Oregon, they'll take it every single day of the week. Why would you want to play out a third map and show even more of your map pool here? I mean, map pool, with it being a decider, you might argue is one of their weaker maps, but they'll take it anyway. Let's see how they hold down, because for Lost One, you've got to feel a little bit rattled by this now. You've been battled back on your own map choice right down to the breaking point. You lose one more round. This one in particular, you're down to the lower bracket.
This is it. The way to look at the upper bracket sometimes is it's like you've got that extra life, Des. You know, you've got that one loss that you can take and still continue in the tournament, but the sooner you lose it, the sooner you don't have that opportunity anymore. And they'll be seeing the loser play again, of course, as you say, in that lower bracket, after we've had our first round of lower bracket games tomorrow, which we're going to be seeing come into play. Now then, this could be our last round. Wolves could tie this up 8-6. It's round 14. We've got Lost One on the attack. We saw them first time around for the first couple of rounds try to get aggressive, Des, try to push their way into site quickly. I'm wondering, are they going to take that sort of risk again, or is it going to be a more safe approach?
Do you really want to like roll the dice on a big hit on site?
Me, you've got to make sure of it.
But can you afford to play it slow when the more space you give to players like Mowgli, the more they just delete you one by one? It's really hard.
Certainly a rock and a hard place, it really is.
Well, they've got to make it work, and that's the kind of start you're looking for. Get Mowgli off the board. He's been absolutely fragging out. All that's really left now is raid boss Bibu.
That's it. That's a great start for them. I think, you know, if they could have chosen to take anybody off the board, he certainly would have been up there at the top of the list. Dash is just going to be working on Study window now onto balcony, so he's going to be the one to try and push in from the south side. Lobin's got himself onto the north side, and Wolves, they need to be careful. We might be seeing a complete flip reversal here, Des, where overtime, rather than going to the defenders, actually goes to the attackers.
It's looking to go that way, isn't it? Once again, you've got Dash playing by himself. Commented on the Twitch early on. 2 shock drones, 2 normal drones, smokes. A very good utility operator to have, even though historically maybe you look at Twitch and say, well, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Rise being taken down by the nade. Not finished off, but is on his backside. Should have room to get picked up here as well as he crawled in towards the vault. But still, down to just a slither of HP, a single bullet enough to put him in an early grave.
Well, it's not ideal for Wolves at the minute. They've got very little going for them. They haven't opened up their account of kills in this round. They've still got 5 attackers coming to find them. There's plenty of time left on the board at 1 minute 10. They've got big problems here. They're being pressured from all the nades. Nades are going in. It might just be enough. Beautiful. It does find the kill onto Rise to finish him off. There's no way that he can get to safety. 3 versus 5. Diffuser going down. Kills raining in. This is going to be a flawless round if they're not careful. Bibu manages to get 1, but that is all. And lost 1. They take us all the way, Des. We're going to 15.
Slow and steady appears to be the answer there, Tim. Didn't try and blitz their way in, just sniffed out what was going on, found some beautiful kills. The nade as well, coming in through Vault, the sort of one that you want there to finish off the already injured Rise. The first one won't do it, the second one will do the job plenty fine. All the way up to 15, as you say. Wolves on the attack, lost 1 on the defense. We're heading in towards Trophy and Statuary, Tim, and that means we're going to see again the castle hold of this site.
Who has any idea what what's going to happen here? Because you've got a situation where the attackers have all of a sudden started winning in overtime. Yep. We expected the defence to be more solid than it has been. Yep. Both of them have lost defences, so you might argue that puts Wolves on the front foot, given that they've now got the attack. But that said, through our regulation time, it was 8 defensive wins to 4 attacking wins, so you would expect there to be an advantage for loss 1, and that it isn't likely that Wolves will string back-to-back successful attacks together. This is honestly anybody's. You know, reminder of the stakes. If Lost 1 win this, we continue on. We go to our decider, which is Oregon. If Wolves win this, then they will win in 2 maps. They will head through to that upper bracket semi-final, and they will really power themselves into the remainder of the tournament.
You get to play in Plaspel?
Yes.
That's what everyone's here for, really. Forget the money. Playing in Plaspel, it's the hallowed halls, the spiritual ground of Siege.
Yep. Well, this is it. Even if they lose the upper bracket semi, the lower bracket game they drop into is played at Plaspel. So
very exciting.
One way or another.
One of the first. We might even end up casting it actually.
I'm not sure.
One of our first games on Thursday.
I'm not sure what we're casting.
I think it's the very first game on Thursday. Friday. Sorry, we've got. Okay. Which should be fun. I checked the schedule.
If we do, then make sure you get in early.
Yeah. Everyone will be out getting breakfast. And make sure you're in for that one. It's not one to be missed. All right, let's focus on this last round, though, and see what happens. Maya, once again, back on that dock. Spoke about it a few times. An operator that he really enjoys playing. Seen it across border an awful lot. Now also here on Villa. 200 HP heal coming through as well. Means Lobin can be a little more risky and daring if he wants to be, as we so often see. But here we go. Wall charging in off the back of a smoke, coming through onto the open hole of the double wall. Maya juicing himself back up, maybe expecting a swing. Sure enough, a bit of a swing comes in. Oh no, it's a friendly C4. Back on his own feet, though, and finally finished off. It could not have gone more wrong for the dock.
Nope, Mowgli taking him down, leaving us now with a second kill. Mowgli is really stepping up when they need him to. Shinka's going to be taken down inside a site, but guess who's there, Des? It's Mowgli. He's going to be traded out, but the damage might be done. 3 kills have already come in from him. 1 minute 30 left to go. We find ourselves in a 2 versus 2, and we will likely see things slow down a little bit after a real explosion of action in the first half of this round.
Well, now you've got duos on the go, right? 2 versus 2 with 1 minute and 30 to play. It feels like a shortened round of Siege. And looking at the utility, Lobin is down low on HP. The attackers have still got everything. They've got drones, they've got frag grenades, you name it.
Bibu versus Dash. We've got 16 kills versus 15 kills. We've got big numbers left on the board, and we've got good support players alongside them. And this is the moment where somebody will claim a bit of glory. Bibu just checking those drones. They're looking for any sniff of information they can get. They're confident. They're wanting to go in for the challenges. Bibu's going to try and send a nade over the top here. Not going to let go of it just yet.
Caught out, he let go, but it got caught out by the Wamai magnet, so it's a bit stuck there and not able to get on through. But we're taking a little bit of a chip as Dash takes a bit of damage here as well. We're down to the last 35 seconds, and I'll go back to Clubhouse, Tim, when Wolves really slowed down with 90 seconds on the clock and ended up losing due to time. Look at this rat play. He's on the floor. He's like a snake, slithering his way forward, and in comes the plan as well. Lobin, to keep his team in the upper bracket, has got to find these 2 kills. Volts over the side, trying to get the impact in below, but will not find anyone. That plant's going down whether he likes it or not.
Smart play from P4. As soon as that impact goes off, he knows that they've missed the mark. He knows he has an opportunity to get it down. Lobin won't know how unlucky he was there not to find his man. P4 taken down to half health, and Lobin, he's got 2 kills to find. He's looking for the diffuser. He knows where it is located on the ground. around, but he's going to have to find some kills here. There is no way he gets away with long arm in this. He's thinking about it, but he just can't get close enough. The position of the plant is good. He has to make a challenge, and surely the kill comes in here to take Lost One out of it, and it is going to be P4 to finish things off, and Wolves are successful after a difficult start at 6 Invitational 2023. They beat Lost One in 2 maps and go through to the upper bracket semi-final.
How much that means to Rise already, and they're going through to plus now. What a day to have a performance like that. That one from him was unreal, but the whole team have looked absolutely electric. All I pray for now is that this carries on into Blaspel.
You love to see it, the passion. You can see everything that it means to that team, the emotion pouring out. That should tell you how hard they have worked to turn around their LAN performances and their LAN fortunes, and they've done it. They feel like they've broken that seal, and they are showing us the best that Wolves have to offer. And I'm here for it. I love to see it because they've looked fantastic. It's been entertaining, Siege. Commiserations, of course, to Lost One. They will continue in the lower bracket yet. There is more chances for them, but they didn't, I think, show us their best today, and I'm sure they're going to kick themselves for that because we know they've got more to offer.
It's still a relatively young team, let's not forget as well. You come up against a lot of experience there. For Rise, again, we spoke about the emotion already, but let's not forget him, Lilu, several others have been trying for years
so much
to get
experience
here.
there.
This is not all confirmed, of course, but let's not forget, Rise is now old, bless him. By Siege terms,
I love how everybody says that about people that I'm older than.
By quite some measure as well. But I'm not at all trying to say he's about to retire or anything, but surely that conversation comes into mind at some point. How long will I keep on playing for? So for him, after all these years of trying to get here, to be able to start fighting for a spot to now play at Blaspel and have a real chance to actually go on and win if they keep playing like this, I'm not surprised he's emotional.
I genuinely hope, I've said this, I've said it so many times, form is so important in tournaments like this, and hitting form at the right time. And you look at it now and I think, have Wolves hit form at the right time? Possibly. They've got a few games yet to go. Can they continue this kind of performance? Because, boy, they were electric today.
And they've still got to play on Wednesday, of course. Tomorrow they get a much-needed rest. Tim, it's going to be so exciting to see how much deeper they can go. For now, though, that's the end of our games for today. We've still got one more coming up next as well from some other wonderful casters. So hang around for Koi's game. We'll see you guys soon.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
The Wolves are heading to the upper bracket semifinal. They are on stage, a thrilling series to watch, and I'm super excited because I am here with Bibu. Hi, Bibu.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't imagine how you all feel right now. It has been an absolutely thrilling day. You guys have been on fire.
Yeah, it's a tough day, emotional side, we can say that. We are a lot of people saying that we couldn't win a best of 3. We won just 2 in a row against G2 and lost once, so I guess they were wrong.
They were wrong. Oh my goodness. But Ollie, I know you have some questions as well.
I certainly do. Yeah, I think one of those people might have been Demo actually sat next to me.
Oh.
This is quite, I think, quite surreal.
I was not focusing you. There are a lot of people on Twitter. Really.
Demo wasn't the only one. Don't worry, he wasn't the only one. Bibu, something I wanted to ask you. You gave so much energy in that G2 game. You know, we could see you shouting and screaming and really getting behind everybody. How do you guys go maintaining that momentum? Because the opening round of Clubhouse tonight here in the second map was unbelievable. You guys just walked in, it literally looked like you didn't even have a single break since the G2 game this morning.
We had a lot of hype during these 2 matches. We tried to focus on that after our 2 first matches on the group stage because I think we lacked a bit of that. So we put a bit more, and of course it's G2. There is Alemao, my friend. So a bit of banter, obviously, and it's G2, Fabian too. So yeah. And after we just took a break. Our staff just made the job during our taking a break, taking lunch, and we just rest a bit and come back to work, trying to calm down a bit and just be the same. And I think it worked. Like we did the job.
I think you guys have been really adaptable in your play style. I think, you know, Villa, you were being able to spot stuff out where there was weaknesses. You know, in terms of like preparation for these best of 3s, you don't have a lot of prep time between, you know, obviously G2 and here it was today. You know, what did you really look at knowing that you're up against, obviously, you know, lost 1, anything like that?
I mean, our coaching staff, LB and Laurie, did an amazing job, I guess, because they were working every day on that. And also, like, during us taking a break, they were working. And also, it's hard because, you know, you don't know the VTO before, 1 hour before. So we are trying to prepare a lot of maps, trying to know what they would pick. I think we made a good prediction because we had good maps for us. And after that, I think we have amazing players like P4, Rise, who are just shot calling amazingly with the info of the support staff to help. And yeah, and after a bit of heads, clicking heads, it's helping a lot.
Mowgli in there always.
Mowgli is always there. Sometimes he's not listening the coaching staff, but it's not his work, right? He's doing the job, so we don't care.
All right, Bibu, last question. Anything that you want us to say to the fans out there?
Just thank you everyone for the support. See you on the stage. We love you. 1 pack. Much love. See you on stage, guys.
Aw, Bibu, thank you so much for that fantastic interview. But all right, we got to get into this series now, and we are going to start with map 1. Okay, Clubhouse, Wolves pick. They dominate. They were riding that momentum from that G2 victory for sure. Demo, talk to me about it.
Yeah, Ollie done a really good question. Ollie, it was actually the question I was going to ask them, but then you've nicked it, so I had to kind of think in the spot there. But yeah, the momentum is massive for them to find the same like drive and passion, because we kind of sat here and we debated, was it just because it was the G2 game? Was it because it was the grudge match? Is that why they played so well against G2? But I think they've proven that they found their form, and that's all it takes. Sure, they played bad the first 2 games. That means nothing now. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, it means nothing, because it's all about the playoffs. It's all about how they do now. And look what they've done. First team onto the stage.
I mean, Ollie, real talk, it was a stomping. Why do you think that they had such control?
Wolves did a great job on the opening pick.
Okay.
It's a stat line that I've brought up a couple of times on the desk over the course of the week, and it's a stat line that I will continue to bring up because it is such a big deal. 70% of the rounds played on Clubhouse, Wolves had the opening pick. Rise got off to a flyer, which isn't very characteristic for him. We know him to be a little bit further backline. Mowgli eventually joined in the party as well, but there was just such a clear divide there in the way that Wolves were winning those gunfights. The coordination, that teamwork, they had the best morning possible going up against G2 because that got them warm and it got them ready for this loss game. And I think that loss one, I think they came in a little bit cold and I think they came in a little bit slow. But Wolves, they were firing on all cylinders and they were really going out there and putting a lot of pressure on early. Those first 3 rounds of Club were almost perfect.
That's always an interesting debate, right? It's like, okay, do you play 2 matches, you get tired, or do you take the momentum? I mean, Demo, we could probably talk about that at length, right? Let's talk about map 2, though, and that is Villa, lost one's pick. A little bit closer here, Demo. Do you think, again, they're just riding this momentum through this map as well?
I mean, it was 6-5 to lost one. You know, they had the match point, and it's a recurring trend that we're starting to see with lost one is they just cannot close these games out. It's the reason why we've seen them go to so many maps inside of Group C. Same thing happened again today. They just couldn't close it out. Is that down to the experience? You know, this team doesn't have a lot of experience compared to other teams, especially compared to Wolves. You've got players who have been around here for ages, a team that has been to every single event this year. It was always going to be difficult for Lost One, I think, just because how good they have played in group stages. You know, I think it's a whole well-rounded team. You know, I think they probably should have closed it. I think they'll be disappointed that they didn't.
For me, Wolves, they are one of the best teams when there's 20 seconds left on the clock and they need to decide what they want to do.
Why are you?
Because there's a guy who can help you with that. There's a guy who can help you with that.
But in all seriousness, Wolves, for me, that is where they shine because they are so good at that late round execute. It was called the X Vitality meta for such a long time. Their ability to effectively act in those dying few stages of the round. And again, we questioned the decision making from Lost One coming into this, and we were thinking to ourselves, have they got the legs? Are they going to be able to make those critical decisions at those end of round moments where we know a team like Wolves is the strongest? And the answer today, unfortunately, was no. Wolves have got so much clutch in them. It's unbelievable. They clutched against Liquid, they clutched against G2, and they've clutched here against Lost One.
Okay, and Demo, we were chatting in the green room earlier, which it is loud in there, so I'm like, what is happening? But besides that, Demo, you thought that they were adapting well on attack. Can you explain that a little bit more?
They were able to pick apart the defenses. They're able to go and they're able to see what weaknesses there is. I'm pretty sure oLe has probably a little bit of a better explanation, actually highlight goals, you know, playmaking abilities.
Yeah, let's do it. We could go to the telestrator and have a look.
That was the perfect transition to the telestrator.
Exactly.
So take it away,
I'm going to take a little walk over to the telestrator, and we are going to roll with a little bit of Villa. So, first things first, you're going to notice that we've got a heavy stack up here of players that are going to be on the balcony. A little bit unusual to see more than one player on the study balcony. So we'll run it through a little bit longer and we'll just let you know exactly what Wolves are thinking here. Typically, you would have a player coming in from sort of the master bedroom side of things and getting in and established on red. And that will come, but it will come a little bit later. There's about 1:30 left on the clock at the moment, and there isn't really much of a need for Wolves to do any hurrying. They've already burned a little bit of utility, and they've already burned a Toxic Babe canister. We fast forward just ever so slightly. We can see that Wolves now are getting themselves set up. We've got Shinka, upside down repel, Rise, he's about to get himself in. The biggest crime here that is committed is the fact that Lobin actually lets Rise through. There is no shield played at the top of main stairs, and that is a big problem because you need the shield to be able to play and stop people coming in through the study. Of course, we've also got Maya on those stairs as well. So again, 2 players that are letting 1 player across. And Mowgli, he's the second player to come in. So this line of sight hasn't been exploited at all. Rise then is able to find himself an angle, and just look at how quickly Mowgli pushes in. He doesn't waste any time inside of the study. He gets himself straight into Map's table. Meanwhile, we've got P4, and P4 has got himself onto Wolf Window, which provides him a brilliant line of sight through here that we're going to see come through a little bit later. Mowgli, he can push himself through. Rise, hanging out inside of study for the meantime. C4 thrown there to absolutely nobody. Mowgli gets a fantastic kill over onto Dash through there, and the plant starts to go down, and well, the rest is history. A 3 versus 1. Mowgli eventually cleaning things up there. And I just think that that is a really good example of the way that Wolves are able to control that late round situation. There was no rushing, there was no funny business, it was just perfect siege.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for that excellent telestration segment. But I was saying the green room was going nuts. Apparently, Oxygen just wanted to. Wild, right? So we're going to have more on that in a little bit. So all of you watching at home, do not go anymore. We're just going to take a short little break.